untouchables from the end. That's why I like to steal the stuff. My baby said she can't get enough. Alright, ow!
in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, we did some things that were wrong. We did a whole lot of things that were right.
We've taken control of the oil in the Middle East, the oil that we're talking about.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time. right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create.
We choose truth over facts.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. The foothills of the Himalayas.
Television is what people are saying.
We are fighting Satan himself.
Journalists, ask them the question! Ask them! Ask them! Ask them!
Agreed that everybody wants to inside this. Anyway, my time's up. America's dead.
America is indeed dead, and welcome back to the show. Chris,
Welcome, everybody.
back from a 3-week hiatus.
Feels like
a break.
Appreciate it. Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, we got
It's been a complete shit show while I've been gone.
we got a lot of shit to shit on tonight, and it's
we certainly do. It's with the debate performance.
Debate's one thing. Yeah. Well, the more important breaking news that a little appetizer here. Breaking South Africa's BRICS. So BRICS new members as of January 2024: Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. Get this. Let this motherfucker play. Give it a moment. I might do a classic refresh.
So this is Argentina and Iran.
Israel shitting their pants right now because every single Iran, Egypt, not only Israel, but the U.S. because this is the end of.
Well, it's the end of the dollar hegemony.
Yeah,
it's the end of the IMF. That's where all the dollar gets its value from, if not from the petrodollar. So, if we can't put out bad debt, like I see Argentina and I'm like, oh, because Argentina's like they've what? How many times has Argentina declared their debt insolvent? Like 2 or 3 times. They've taken out loans like 2 or 3 times from the IMF, and they've gone under like multiple times. So them joining BRICS is a pretty big shot to the neoliberal order, I think, just because it kind of illustrates how the system, that level of the system that most consumers aren't really aware of, is breaking. I think people, when they start seeing that, they see inflation today. Wait until you see inflation in like 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, when we can't issue IMF debt and we don't have the petrodollar. I think things are just starting to get bad.
Yeah, it sounds like that from my internet too. Because Indie switched just to fucking HD and it's not good. You have to do it at 720 because
it's a nightmare. It slows it down a little bit, messes with the bandwidth.
Yeah, like a lot.
Just chugging along.
Just give me like a couple minutes, folks.
You're good.
Yeah.
Just change. Okay, because my video is actually, it's only 480 right now. A little surprising, but no, BRICS is really interesting to me. It's just it's this huge part of U.S. neoliberalism that 99% of the people are completely unfamiliar with. They just think oh, we have dollars, and we can spend dollars, and dollars get spent towards war, but they don't really see how not seeing, missing the point on how BRICS takes away the ability for the U.S. to issue government debt is like a huge thing nobody really pays attention to. Oh, and it looks like we're about to reset internet or something right now. Maybe I can pull this shit up. Looks like we're having a hard time tonight, huh? We able to get that pulled up? Do you want me to pull it up? Wonder if you can. I feel like nobody can hear me. So looks like our stream is messed up again. So let me see if I can pull this up. Although I don't have. Let me see this. Right. So let's see. I don't know exactly what he wanted to share, and I don't think he could hear me. So I don't know what's going on right now. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see, John Basham. So, don't know what's going on. Okay. Let's see if I can share this.
Where did Chris go? Did he leave? Dude. I might be able to get this now. We're not giving up. Hold on. We can get this internet to work. I think we can. So I cleared some cache. But I also don't think it's my internet because it's like it's specifically restreamed because like everything else runs fine. It's specifically when I enter StreamYard restream. Let me get Chris to come back. Let me play this while you wait.
Media playouts where the streets are marsh. Backroom deals swept into the dark. The fattest wallets swing the heaviest bribes. Lining senators' jackets with reason to lie. The macho stands of proletariat tones. Democrats hide their hidden thrones. Oligarchs swing their skeleton keys while the innocent starve in the land of the free. Whoa, 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 whoa. Buffets shown by broad country built on life. Fathers died for liberty, but for the price oligarchy. Buffets shown by brides and countries built on lies. Our fathers died for liberty, but for the price oligarchy. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're not in control. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're not in control. Delhi turned the middle class on the pole. Lucky sends the strongest sons off the wall. Hollywood boys bleach onto our eyes. Subdue.
In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, we did some things that were wrong. We did a whole lot of things that were right.
We've taken control of the oil in the Middle East, the oil that we're talking about.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create.
We choose truth over facts.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. The foothills of the Himalayas.
Television. Because
We are fighting Satan himself.
Journalists, ask them the question! Ask them! Ask them! Ask them!
Agreed that everybody once they inside they should. Anyway, my time's up. America's dead.
All right, so second, third time's the charm. Can you hear me all right?
Wait, so can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Because I can't hear anything.
You can't hear shit. Okay.
This is crazy.
Let's see.
So you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you definitely should be able to hear me. Okay. yeah, like my audio shows it's all right. Let me see. Hold on a second. Unplug it and plug it back in. See if it's...
No, it's not you. It's me. It's definitely me.
Okay, so I'm connected again. Can you hear me yet? No? Can't hear me? Oh, looks like he's going to come back again. Sorry, guys. We're having freaking wonderful issues with Restream the night I come back, so naturally, like, our shit's late when we got, like, great stuff planned. Funny stuff planned. But, you know how it is. Freaking YouTube has been, when you have a monopoly, it's been around forever. They don't have to make something that's super good. They just have to make something that everybody uses. So I'm guessing he'll come back in a second. All right, so let's see what's going on. Looks like we literally tried to turn it on and off, back on again, and things are all broken. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know if anybody can hear me. But did have a bunch of stuff planned. Don't know if it's Greg stuff. Might be Restream. Might be YouTube. Might be a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, a little bit of column C. Have no idea what's going on. But, hope he comes back in a second. Looks like, so we can talk about the freaking, okay. Well, it looks like my audio is working. So, well, we had like some interesting stuff going on tonight. I just, to kind of, let's just all give it another minute for Greg to get back here. But, we do have,
Listen.
Greg, can you hear me now? Because the audience can hear me.
I think I figured out the problem.
Skill issue.
I don't know. So like what it is, like something with like a Mac specifically, if you like plug in an HDMI through like so like the new Macs, right? Like they don't have like actual like USB like backs, like you have to like
it's all adapters.
Yeah, you have to put it in like through an adapter, right? And like the adapter has like an HDMI thing in there, so like I might as well just like stick it in there, right? But like whenever I use that, it slows everything the fuck down. It's crazy.
Wait, are you using a third party cable?
It's probably it's like a piece of shit adapter. No, like the cable's like the HDMI cables.
The adapter's third party?
I'm just plugged into like a TV or whatever. Like it's just like
I mean, like I wouldn't.
So let's
say that slowing down when you plug shit in. It makes me think that there's
if we can, like, God willing, just cut out the entire fucking the first 25 minutes.
First 20.
Forget everything that just happened in the past 25 minutes. We're gonna rebound here.
Mulligan.
Start over. We're back. Okay. But Saudi Arabia, right? Onto
BRICS.
So in terms, breaking this past week, BRICS actually
probably way more significant news than anything else that's been going on.
Yeah, and probably no one else is talking. Well, it happens to be like right around GOP debates, and
But this is like a million times more important than the GOP debates.
Yeah, this is why this is like a worthwhile like.
It's just I know people who work in freaking.
BRICS
Oh, anyway, we'll get into it.
Countries, we have reached agreement on the guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedures of the BRICS expansion process, which has been in discussion for quite a while. We have consensus on the first phase of this expansion process, and other phases will follow. We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, Saudi Arabia. You know what that means.
No more petrodollar.
Rest in peace, petrodollar. Goodbye, US dollar. And
so this is there's I see that obviously as like a huge piece, but the other piece that I see is, I don't know if you could hear me because it was during the time where it first broke up, but the IMF, but Argentina going to BRICS after Argentina has like gone bankrupt on IMF loans like 2 or 3 times in our lifetime is a huge fucking deal. It signals quite strongly that like if the US isn't able to sell debt to third world countries or like developing countries like Argentina, then like not, and like Saudi Arabia with the petrodollar is one thing. That's like a huge thing that like everybody should be concerned about. But not being able to sell debt to developing countries is like the other linchpin of giving the dollar any fucking value whatsoever. So like when people say that we need to be concerned about fucking war, so it's because we're running out of things to back the dollar to, and if we can't back it with putting a gun to somebody's head, then that's when like people can't afford shit anymore. And like we think inflation's bad today and we haven't seen shit yet.
So I'm assuming like BRICS is going to operate much like NATO.
So I was thinking about this literally right before we started this, and the way I kind of look at it all day. The way I kind of look at it is BRICS is the socialist bloc of the multipolar world. And then the West, okay, or NATO or the EU and the US, etc., represent the capitalist bloc. Now, obviously, like we all know for the most part that socialism includes elements of capitalism. I don't want to get into a huge debate about that. But for the purposes of what we're kind of seeing here is that you have a bloc that understands that there's like nationalization of resources, stuff like nationalizing oil, nationalizing banks, nationalizing resources, so that the money that they get that normally would be exploited by these Western countries, they get to reinvest in their own people. That's really the division. Like, yes, we're seeing
it's also way bigger than that, because so in 1972, when we break off the dollar, break off gold from the dollar,
off the gold standard,
the U.S. dollar is essentially every single currency in the world is based off of the U.S. dollar. So this represents like a break of like a sense of like a more like a break into like a more multipolar world.
I would say, yeah. So I have mixed opinions about whether it's really like a multipolar thing. Like here's the way I look at it is that
it's more like two sides, really.
It's really two sides.
Yeah.
And it's really like, if we're going to look at this in like,
you see France jumping to shit, like
critical, even France wants to join BRICS, but France also has much more revolutionary potential and revolutionary tendencies than any other Western country I can think of right now. Like they have much stronger class consciousness, and like obviously all the stuff that they're trying to do against the French in recent months and years isn't working anymore. So like they're having to resort, all right, well, I guess we're going to just embrace freaking the BRICS system. So that's kind of what I see, but
that's my main question is like, I'm asking, like, if we're assuming that this BRICS is going to operate like NATO, then that means that if any of these countries gets attacked in any sort of way, then that means it's a full scale.
So let's look at, that's kind of like a good kind of like low level way to look, or high level way to look at it. But I would say something.
I don't think they'd even talked about that yet.
So BRICS is more of a financial agreement between countries as far as like trade and like banking. Now, something like the Shanghai Cooperative Organization, that's something that I would say poses more of like a direct threat to NATO.
So what
Because
happens when the U.S. comes in and like they blow up your pipeline? Then what happens?
So, well, we're seeing what happens. What happened when the Nord Stream 2 got blown up?
Oh,
You know, we saw what happened. Like, there's nothing. It's just what I think. What BRICS really signals that because countries like Argentina, like if you're familiar with Argentina and how many times they've gone bankrupt from IMF loans, them joining BRICS really signals that the U.S. is running out of ways to give value to the dollar. Okay, so when people like me are saying, hey, like we're really like when you hear people saying that like we could be at war in China in 2025, we're not saying that just to like be contrarian or to just like bullshit with people. It's because the U.S. is running out of things to back the dollar to. If they can't generate loans, bad loans against entire countries, and they can't sell oil in dollars, what else is backed by the dollar? The war machine. Okay, so this is why like I see BRICS as like an existential thing that will unfortunately like lead to war, not because like it's bad, but because like they're threatening the way that the US dollar has any value whatsoever, in my opinion.
This is the reason why the U.S.
It's destroying the U.S. It's going to destroy the U.S. economy. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is why they're shitting their pants, and this is why they're putting every single last Ukrainian on the line for the U.S. dollar. It's because we need meats. We need fresh Ukrainian meat to throw at the Russian.
So here's kind of another way to look at that, because like the defense budget is for all intents and purposes over $1 trillion, right? With the black budget and everything, we can just say over $1 trillion. And I would say it's fair to say that at least half of that goes straight into private defense contractors' pockets, right? So, and the defense budget makes up about a half of the U.S. government budget. So there's a contradiction here where even though we're fighting a losing war, and everybody's known from the beginning with two brain cells that they can rub together, this is a losing war. By printing out so much money and investing it into the defense industry, which represents such a enormous part of our GDP, they're able to keep the value of the dollar. That's one of the ways that they're artificially keeping the value of the dollar at where it's at. Even though we're experiencing inflation, one of the ways that they give the value to the dollar any value is literally the defense contracts, because our budget is so fucking high. So we have this contradiction where we literally have to spend money on the defense budget because we don't industrialize, because we don't do stuff like what BRICS is doing, or like Belt and Road. We don't do anything like that. And
this coincides. Like I feel like they go hand in hand, because like you can't have an economic like energy like guarantee without violence, and like this is why like you can't have Syria. We don't get our oil by like
it's all through the barrel of a gun.
We steal it. We straight up steal it. We like Trump admits, and in that intro and the intro that we play is we taking control of the oil. We have the oil. Yeah, we're occupying a third of Syria for their oil because we need the money. And that's as far as that goes.
The question at this point is like, what's really going to be the thing that starts World War III? And it's, is it going to be BRICS directly? No, but maybe it'll be something like Taiwan being incorporated in BRICS. Like I know that's like I definitely understand that it's like part of China. I don't know how it works as far as like if Taiwan is part of BRICS or it has like independence in that way. But I think Taiwan is going to be the powder keg that will start World War III.
Yeah. And you can see, and we're gonna show in these upcoming GOP debates how much they're hawking on China as well. Even this entire past the entire Republican Party. It was even the Tucker and Trump interview. They're going off on. They want war with China, and there's even a point in here which I will point out later, where Ron DeSantis like pretty much straight up admits, yeah, we don't want to fund Ukraine because we want to put it towards China.
Well,
He,
dude,
what we said it out loud.
You're absolutely right. Because like, what were we saying? Like, basically for the last year, while people were saying that like Republicans were the anti-war party, and we were like, no, they're not. They just want a different war. And now they're just open about it. You know, now they're really like war hockey about it. So, you know, looking the tea leaves, seeing BRICS and stuff like that, and it's like, it just seems like people who, you know, I don't want to get into RFK tonight, but like people are not freaking. I think people should have a bigger concern for freaking war over everything else right now, and like nobody's thinking about that.
They're bloodthirsty. Well, I mean, actually, at this point, we have like most Americans don't support the.
Dude, like, do you even notice like people don't even care about like Medicare for all isn't even a thing anymore.
I don't think anyone cares anymore. I don't think anyone cares. It's too much, and it's
like nobody like Medicare for all turned into something that was a pipe dream again. Like nobody is not even in the collective consciousness, you know, like. So what do we have to think about if we can't focus on how everything's falling apart in our country, and like all we see is like money going and like warmongering, all this shit, and all over on the other side of the country, the other side of the planet. It doesn't even matter to us. I feel like there's like a real existential problem here. Like,
oh yeah, no,
it's so frustrating. Like I really like. I'm not being hyperbolic when like I'm like pretty certain we're gonna go to war, because it's the only way the U.S. is gonna try and maintain any value on the dollar. If you're not concerned about it, like here Jeff, I see Jeff in the chat, but like I think if you're not scared about war, like you're not. Please, please say in the chat like why you're like not scared, and like I'll be happy to elaborate, because like. I'm like Ukraine is doing fucking conscription. They might as well be American soldiers. Remember, like they're just a proxy. They're doing the same thing. If they would do it with Ukrainians, they do it with us.
No, we're gonna be in war. We're gonna be in war with China by 2025. They predicted that.
Well,
watch it. No, seriously, watch it happen.
You're fucking younger than I am. Like I might be like. I mean, I think if they do conscription, they'd fucking pull it.
I mean, I remember being in high school and not remembering. Like, I remember like being in high school and confusing Iraq and Iran. I thought they were the same country. But yeah,
yeah, I get that.
In case any of you guys were, you know, spending your Wednesday night doing something productive, 8 turds went on a stage and they debated each other last night. And it was really funny. They call themselves the GOP. So it's the GOP debates that occurred last night.
Literally a circus.
And you could tell it was pretty entertaining because, I mean, even Glenn Greenwald and Marjorie Taylor Greene was there. And they were very, very, very focused on what was going on.
They're watching fucking Trump. The Tucker Carlson interview.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the crowd was really invested in absolutely everything going on here. It was just they were just really curious.
That's fucking funny, dude.
About what their upcoming
Dude, that was like one of the things I actually wanted to bring up about this fucking debate was that. Like, obviously, Trump doing the fucking interview at the same time as
it was a great move.
Was not a fucking coincidence, and it was I don't care. Like, just it was like it was a G move. It was like whether you hate, we can all hate Trump and agree that was like a stroke of genius on his part. Like, hey, I'm polling at 50%. Oh, I'm gonna fucking all over DeSantis's face by freaking doing my GOP. Interview at the same time as the debate.
Yeah, and people are saying people say like, oh, he's like that he should be debating. Like they're disappointed in him like refusing to debate, but like, you know, honestly, does he really have to? Because like he has the literally the entire party by the balls. Like if he's not the Republican primary, like I don't know who else is gonna. Like I really don't.
Here's the thing is that like the only people who don't really see Trump as a like presumptive nominee are liberals for the most part, or people who don't are keeping up with the polls, because like
people who don't
Trump's gonna be the nominee. Like the only reason he wouldn't be the nominee is if he's actually going to jail, and no one thinks that's gonna happen. No one really thinks that's gonna happen.
Did his mugshots come out today?
You know, like it's all like it. Like if you're Russiagating, like I could see why you would think that Trump like doesn't stand a chance, but like he's the nominee. Like why? Like that's why I kind of thought. I mean, on the one hand, you can kind of argue like it's a little bit because we've been bitching that like Biden won't do any debates. So for the one hand, I can kind of see it. Like I can see that argument. But
no, that's what I'm saying. Like it's definitely cowardly. It's definitely cowardly for him not to debate.
At the same time, here's the thing.
But at the same time, it's smart. It's a smart and sneaky move that's something that like I would do if I was here.
If Biden was polling at 60% and said he didn't want to do the debates, he'd have a better argument.
It would be much more respectable.
He'd have a better argument, but Biden's not polling at 60%. He's polling at what, like 20, 30? That man's hated. That man's hated.
Trust me, like, and I like even when I go out and I talk to like normal everyday people are really fed up.
Fuck Joe Biden.
They're really fucked up, and we'll show like a little bit later, but like with the Maui stuff. But it's gonna be a long show, folks. Sorry with the technical difficulties in the beginning.
But and this is not an endorsement for Trump. I just think like I said, if Biden was polling better, I think he could make the argument that Trump's making. But Trump's polling, and he's like the presumptive nominee. He's like, I don't know. I just see it as a little different. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Whoops.
It's the wax figure. Fucking guy. Do we not have any audio?
Oh, let me.
So Hippie Ninja, they're all Epsteiners. Like we've seen Joe Biden like all over freaking children for freaking decades. Like that's like I understand that. I get that. Like he's a terrible human being too. I'm not like for Trump. Nobody here's for Trump. But they're like I'm just saying.
There we go.
Nikki Haley.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
This guy's such a scumbag. Fucking Christie thing. Crispy Christie.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson.
And North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that guy?
It's the guy they drew out a hat.
We'll ask the questions, and then candidates get 1 minute to answer.
They just got that guy out of nowhere. They wanted like an even number.
You get 30 seconds to respond, and when the time runs out, we all will hear this. Very pleasant.
So tonight, these candidates have a big opportunity to break out of the pack and to explain why they are best prepared to be the Republican choice for president. At a time when the likely Democrat nominee, President Joe Biden, is working to convince the country that with Bidenomics, things are looking up.
They call my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
It's working.
But is it? More than 65% of Americans say the country is headed in the wrong direction. And here's the reality for some voters we talked to here in Wisconsin this week.
We have noticed a dramatic increase in prices at the grocery store just across the board.
Gas is high and food is high. A lot of people out here homeless because they can't buy food.
It's tough when you got mortgage rates at 7-8% versus 2 to 3. It's just you can't afford a house anymore.
Inflation is ridiculous. It's killing us out here.
we sit here tonight, the #1 song on the Billboard chart
What's
is called
that?
Rich Men North of Richmond. It is
Oh,
by a
wow.
singer from Farmville, Virginia, named Oliver Anthony.
Really?
His lyrics speak of alienation, of deep frustration with the state of government and of this country. Washington, D.C. is about 100 miles north of Richmond.
Oh, she got it. How funny is it that we just happen to have a viral song pop up right before the GOP debates? Isn't it great that we just happen to have this LinkedIn? No, it's great.
Frustrating. It's like totally like not being shoved into your face.
Cynic. No, listen. I know. And people are asking me. They sit here and they ask me. They ask me, Greg, why do you care? Why do you care about it? It's just a song. This is what I care about. Okay, because in 6 months, you're all gonna say that we were right about this.
Not even.
Okay, this is a psyop. You cannot convince me that that anything that's blasted, if it's not a meme, it's a psyop. There's no coincidence. It's not just, like we can't like.
It's just
I'm at the level of intellect where like I don't make like a shit ton of money, but I care about like stupid shit like this. Where like I can be like an oracle and I can just like be like 6 months in the future, be like, I told you.
So
and then people think you're fucking crazy. People think you're like a soothsayer, like you like or like a an oracle if you tell them this stuff and you don't like you're under a spell. It's not nothing about the lyrics has anything to do with. It's not like there's no sort of like. These are very basic countryman.
I mean, it sounds like it was created in a lab.
Under a spell. The chords that are getting into you and it's making you like feel a certain way. When he says like.
Just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think. Wanna know what you do. And they don't think you know. But I know that
Their faces. They have to watch this. Look at DeSantis. He's like, oh, fuck. Oh, he didn't say the line, but like when he says like when like me and you, like that's what it's about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
About grabbing you in, making it personal.
I mean, the red flag goes off when
isn't that crazy? Isn't that? Go ahead. Sorry.
It just seems it's like it's hitting all the right notes. It's catchy. It's like I don't know. It just seems to me that like people are focusing too much on something that has like really average lyrics or really average chord progression, and it's like because it's so universally accepted. That's like kind of the thing. It's like it seems like. And now here it is at the GOP debate. Like it's like, oh, let's bring everybody together with this freaking like country anthem. Like freaking 3/4 of the country doesn't even like country.
No one. No. So okay, quickly, so tell me like why, what gave you the hitch that this was like a big like, orchestrated psyop? Because it's very obvious.
Well, I haven't really heard like.
I've been arguing on Twitter like that.
Like I came from like I went to school for recording arts and like production. Like it's just
you just know this isn't happening.
You can listen to it and be like you know that anybody with like a few $1 million can hire somebody to be like write something about this, use these projections, and like freaking produce something that they want. Like if people don't know the story about Nickelback, like Nickelback is like a band that was just like created in a lab. Like it was just like, if you guys know how K-pop works, like K-pop is just freaking state sponsored. They just like basically like audition people to kind of create a band. You know, it's not like an organic thing of 4 people in a garage. It's like we choose you guys and we want you guys to perform this like little like monkeys and do that for us. And here's the money. You know, they're just more, it's more of a performance than actually like an artist, you know, expressing themselves. And so like when you know that every single element of the music can be manufactured, you know, and you know that people smarter than us are quite capable of studying like what stuff is catchy and like what chords to use. I don't know, man. There was just like a number of things. It just seems like there was
a LinkedIn post with like all the chords.
And also the lyrics also are like universally acceptable, but they're reactionary. You know, they don't actually address any problems, and they kind of like pick on tropes. We don't have to get into a whole big thing about it, but like
these other songs are
like,
better.
It's the song is written in a way that maintains kind of the cultural hegemony.
Yeah, and also like the safe like appeal.
You know, he's not talking about
Republican and like blast it on like literal.
Yeah, they can put it on fucking NPR.
Not threatening at all.
It's
Obviously,
anybody.
Like this is very obviously not a threatening like piece of music at all. Like no one, like the obviously mainstream media loves this. They love it.
So Governor DeSantis, why is this song striking such a nerve in this country right now? What do you think it means?
Come on.
Our country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline. And it starts with understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if you are working hard and you can't afford groceries, a car, or a new home, while Hunter Biden can make hundreds of thousands of dollars on lousy paintings. That is wrong. We also cannot succeed when the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars. Those rich men north of Richmond have put us in this situation. And finally, we need to lower your gas prices. We're going to open up all energy production. We will be energy dominant again in this country. I showed it could be done in the state of Florida. I pledge to you as your president, we will get the job done, and I will not let you down.
The fucking smile, dude. They fucking like, you know, they tried to coach him. They're like, it's so sad, dude. That man
It is really sad how sanctimonious.
Dude is a fucking reptile.
It's oh, this is the wrong one.
Oh, that's funny, dude. You know, he had like his campaign manager was like, "Listen, man, like you come off like a wax figure.
Not
like,
let you down.
Teach yourself to smile."
And I will not let you down. And I will not let you down.
Dude, he's so fake.
He's so full of shit.
Like,
oh my god.
Like everybody knows that he's like killed
Governor
a couple
Christie,
people.
do you agree with Governor DeSantis just said there? And why would you be better on the economy than him?
Well, look, I do agree predominantly with what Governor DeSantis just laid out. I think that if you asked every one of us up here, that we would agree predominantly with what.
So basically, this entire like first we're gonna summarize the bad parts for you. Where like what this basically is just a highlight reel. So essentially, the entire first half is about the deficit, which I'm not even sure the average American even like gives a shit at all about whatever like the deficit is, like the whatever like debt we're holding. Because how much are we in debt to China already?
Well, and the other thing that is like, this is like a whole thing, but like the national debt is just a game that is just like a freaking like phrase that they throw out there for the sake of things like PAYGO. Okay, it's just a phrase that they throw around just for the sake of austerity, just to like take things away from us. In a country that can print its own money, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a debt we can't pay. We just refuse to. So the idea to even have like an earnest conversation about the national debt is like an unserious conversation, because the US has no intention of ever printing the money to pay the $30 trillion debt. They can make it go away right now if they wanted to, you know, just add some zeros. You know, they're not like physically printing money, you know? So it's like, I mean, are you familiar with MMT, like modern monetary theory?
Oh yeah, of course.
So like
I want to do
everybody should know, like, the idea that we, like, any country that's able to make their own money the concept of debt doesn't really make any sense, because we can make our own money. So it's just a weird conversation to have. It doesn't make sense. Like, how are they going to balance the budget? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
my dad said he fucking hated
there
this
were
guy.
some people who were surprised about Nikki Haley's performance. This was like the one bit that she had.
Don't turn over the keys to the people who broke it again. You hand it over to a new generation to actually fix the problem. That's why I'm in this race, and we're just getting warmed up.
All right, Chief Governor Haley. So why are you better positioned to turn around this economy that we've heard all of these voters talking about tonight than Mr. Ramaswamy, who is a successful entrepreneur nationally right now? He's beating you in the polls.
Well, I don't care about polls. What I care about the fact is that no one is telling the American people the truth. The truth is that Biden didn't do this to us. Our Republicans did this to us, too. When they passed that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill, they left us with 90 million people on Medicaid, 42 million people on food stamps. No one has told you how to
See,
fix
and
it.
there's the fudge round meme.
That bill was a giant fucking pass to the corporations. All the PPP.
She's talking about is that the CARES Act she's talking about?
She's talking about the COVID thing. What?
Yeah.
The COVID bill, no?
Yeah, she's talking. I thought she was talking about COVID, like where the PPP loans and all that shit. So
and they need to make sure they
she's just,
understand
like,
these are
not
taxpayer
speaking
dollars.
fair,
It's
like-
not their dollars. And while they're all saying this, you have Ron DeSantis, you've got Tim Scott, you've got Mike Pence. They all voted to raise the debt, and Donald Trump added $8 trillion to our debt. And our kids are never going to forgive us for this. And so at the end of the day, you look at the 2024 budget, Republicans asked for $7.4 billion in earmarks. Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. So you tell me who are the big spenders. I think it's time for an accountant in the White House.
Vice President Pence.
So
I wasn't that impressed. She's a hack. She's a neocon. She wants to go with China. She loves Ukraine. Hates Putin. Pretty much, like, this was like the let's see who can be the better Trump crowd, except for Vivek. And then Vivek basically was just like sucking Trump's dick the entire time, which
he was the Trump.
What you're supposed to do in the RNC debate, especially like if you want support, like he is the most popular Republican president since Reagan. You have to like give your blessings to him. You cannot, like, it is like a mortal sin at this point to like go against the whole that whole thing. But
I get that.
DeSantis also had a bit here.
Will be the war on the federal administrative state that is the source of those toxic regulations acting like a wet blanket on the economy. So I'm not sure I exactly understood Mike Pence's comment, but I'll let you all parse that out. For me, it's pretty simple. That's something a U.S. president can do with focus, and I'll deliver on it.
Let me explain it to you. If I can. I'll go slower this time.
I sometimes struggle with the reading
Look,
comprehension.
I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. I actually pushed a Deficit Reduction Act. That was the last time we actually reduced the national debt in the United States, when I was the leader of House conservatives. I'm training.
So Vivek and Pence got into a little bit.
So this is the thing. Like, hold on, I'm having a bit of cognitive dissonance here. Is there really more than like 4 or 5 people who in this entire country who like Pence? I'm just having a hard time. Like, just imagine. Just imagine. This is what I mean when I fully believe people are like completely invested in the circus to the point that they like even Pence. At the same time, he's running for president. He knows he's just a fucking marionette. You know, because
You know,
Pence,
he wears the puppet on his sleeve. He's very obvious.
I just don't. It's so fucking weird to me when I'm watching this stuff, and I'm like,
he's not good at hiding it enough. He doesn't put on a good face. He just makes it like
he looks like he's just there. He's just there. Hey guys, I'm just here because I like showed up in the polls one day.
Like you like enough with the old white men for president. Like people are tired of that. I'm sorry. Like people just don't want that anymore.
They're not tired of it.
And you are up, Governor DeSantis.
So here's the thing. Why are we in this mess? Part of it, and a major reason, is because how this federal government handled COVID-19 by locking down this economy. It was a mistake. It should have never happened. And in Florida, we led the country out of lockdown. We kept our state free and open. And I can tell you this, as your president, I will never let the deep state bureaucrats lock you down. You don't take somebody like Fauci.
Ron Zionist. Ron DeZionist.
Yeah,
Ron DeZionist wants to tell you that
he's going to protect you from the deep state.
He's going to protect you.
Coddle him. You bring Fauci in, you sit him down, and you say, Anthony, you are fired.
Here's okay.
You see him, yeah. You say, Fauci, you were fired.
There's like a weird. I don't know if they talked about it in the debate last night. Probably not.
He's like a little boy. I feel bad for him at this point. I feel really bad.
Yeah, and to be clear, like DeSantis. What was interesting was like a couple months ago he came out against like CBDCs and then he changed.
It was only interesting for a little bit, like maybe he was like a little threatening during like when he started gaining popularity in Florida because they got COVID right during in terms of lockdowns. It was like the only state that you could go to that was like not completely.
Yeah, I remember they were all on beaches and they were all doing their own thing. Like I told you.
And those lockdowns were criminal. I just tweeted the other day about how a man in Indonesia had died from 300 squats because of he broke curfew during the lockdown.
Shit's fucking crazy.
It's the real shit. Like I can even show you a New York Times article about how like the lockdowns they were like social distancing policing in New York City. There were like 35 out of 40 black men.
Dude, and I'm reading articles today. People are.
It was exactly like stop and frisk. The COVID. It was exactly like the way that we police in this country. It disproportionately affected black people the most, and people don't want to admit that. Because
that's usually how it happens.
Most African Americans they didn't get vaccinated. They didn't.
That's true.
You know, they were in the most like poorer conditions, so like they were the worst off, really.
Right.
And then and then now they're talking about like genetic. I don't want to say too much, but like genetic targeting. But like, I'm not gonna say too much about that. But like that's scary shit too. That like I wouldn't doubt it because they did African eugenics in back in the 70s. With the AIDS.
70s, and then they did. Then like Africa's been a testing ground.
Been like eugenics
for
testing
decades.
ground.
Yeah, it's half a century.
Yeah, like I wouldn't put it past them for anything at all.
Signed a pledge to support the eventual.
This is the big moment where you.
Will you support Trump?
Like I said before, you're in this to suck Trump's dick, and if you're not sucking Trump's dick, then you need to present some sort of alliance or some sort of agreement or some sort of with the Trumpian way, because this is
because he has 50% of the freaking Republican vote.
yeah
Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Look how long Christy gets away. Christy just goes like, he just goes like that.
So dumb.
I remember when this asshole was my governor. Fuck that guy, dude. Like, oh my god, fucking mafia Port Authority. Like
this is just like it's exactly what you said though. It's not ironic. Like they are proving their allegiance to Trump. Like. That's what they're doing right there. That's not.
Yeah,
like, it's not just a cute thing.
But look. So Vivek is, like I said, he's like very proudly sucking Trump's dick like last night.
The eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Look at that order. So. DeSantis, he's got to look around.
Fucking Pence.
Look very carefully. Just look very carefully. He's got to. DeSantis, he's got to like check the crowd. He's got to be like.
Yeah. It's like, am I allowed to have my own opinion? Okay, I guess not.
Yeah.
But it's just clown show, unreal. So again, like at the end of the day, don't need a crystal ball unless you're Russiagating. We already know Trump is the Republican nominee, right? So
yeah,
like let's just take a moment to realize that this is like they're in a performance. Vivek does not think he can win. You know,
no, he's not going. No, there's nothing behind him at all. I mean, who would you say is performing? Well,
they're all performing. That's like the weird thing.
I know. I realize that, but let me.
I think some of them go there and originally like maybe think that there's a chance, and then I don't know, man. It's just fucking weird to me, man. It just feels like they're putting on this show, because what was weird to me was, like I was telling you before the show, where my dad, who's a never Trumper, was watching with my mom, who's a liberal. So they're both, for all intents and purposes, they voted for Biden in 2020. And they're talking about who their favorite candidate was, okay? Like I was saying, more liberals were probably watching this shit than fucking Republicans.
They were.
So the thing that's fucking weird is like, okay, then who was this debate about? Who is it for? And it was for liberals, because liberals they love watching the debate, because Trump.
But they don't want to challenge Biden.
They don't want anybody to challenge Biden, so they watch the debate and they're like, oh, Trump's not there because Trump's going to get indicted and Trump's going to jail.
No, this country is so hungry for intellectual, like political debate, like actual political debate. They banned the primary debates. I remember 2016 was awesome. Just watching it on TV happen. Just watching like all the, I like not necessarily the election itself.
Dude, I was like a huge Bernie advocate in 2016.
I know I was really disappointed, but like ultimately, like it was.
No, that's when I started. I mean, I voted for Ron Paul in 2012 and 2008. But I started getting pretty politically active and like understanding this stuff, I'd say, after 2016. But like I just watched this and it's fucking weird to me. Like if you're polling at freaking 6-10%, like I guess to some degree, if you're running for president, you have to have the fucking ego the size of fucking Mars, right? Like you have to have an enormous ego. So I guess these guys are just able to kind of believe that there's like more, that there's an actual democratic process, because you know, like, you're not going to be president. What are you doing? You just want to hear yourself speak on like fucking Fox News.
Yeah.
President Trump,
I believe, so Vivek and Christie are going to battle here for
Chris Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. People blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country. They could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. We're skating
now I know why my dad fucking hated him.
Where the party of power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
30 seconds, Governor DeSantis. Let me take I'm sorry, 30 seconds, Governor. You make me laugh because you sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer right.
What? You didn't let him talk.
Go ahead.
Everyone hates him. Everyone fucking hates him.
Well, so listen. The more time we spend doing this, the less time they can talk about each.
The moderator had to go back. Like, listen, calm down. They fucking hate him. Why is he on stage?
Exactly.
About how you want to stand up for the rule of law and law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
Well, it is very true.
That's not
it's
true.
very true. I read it, and I know.
Chris Christie has never read a book in his life. Let's get this.
By the way,
Chris, and you as a prosecutor should know better.
you know what? I know a lot
There's
better.
a difference between
I know.
bad behavior
Vivek's even doing the red tie thing.
You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We've stood up for law and order. I did it as U.S. attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to bow to anyone when we have a president of the United States who disrespects the Constitution. He said,
MSNBC contributor, did you hear that?
States who disrespects the Constitution. He said.
See, it's just not. It's like watching freaking wrestling.
Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution. Now, both you take.
So, guess who showed up on MSNBC the next?
I know the next day.
The next day, he's on MSNBC. The great comeback. Chris Christie
immediately runs to a safe space on MSNBC.
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing is like, if liberals were the ones watching this debate last night, like, what if they're like just kind of like fielding the polls and seeing what Democrats like the Republicans to see who they can replace Biden with?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
it's
fucking weird. Like Chris Christie being a hypocrite and all this. MSNBC the next day. It's just like, it's weird, man.
All right, so here's the big Ukraine question right here.
Now we are moving on to other issues. The U.S. has committed nearly $77 billion in aid to the Ukraine war. The administration is
the
now asking
only foreign policy question that ever came up in this entire thing.
Congress for $24 billion more.
Watch them
Regardless
scream
of
for China.
that specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
We would not support it.
Good. Okay. Great. Great.
He's like a maybe. He's like, oh, Europe.
You would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing it.
Not
and I think we need to do, and I think our support should be
It's a
contingent
very
on them
Trumpian
doing
answer.
it.
Wait, so Vivek was the only person who was like, I would post support.
He's the only one.
That's unbelievable. This fucking country.
Watch him talk about it.
To be able to take China and do what we need.
Okay, this is when he
To
admits
take out China? Did he really just say that?
He literally says, okay, literally saying it out loud. They're telling you out loud, we don't want to fund Ukraine because we want to put the money towards China. Watch Ron DeSantis say it out loud.
And I think our support should be contingent on them doing it. And I would have support in China to be able to take China and do what we need to do with China.
And do what we need to do with China.
Bro, why?
Bomb the fuck out of Taiwan.
Get him off the stage.
Arm the fuck out of Taiwan. Bomb the shit out of Taiwan. Whatever the fuck world war is coming.
This is
That's
embarrassing. Dude, that's fucking sketchy.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous, that we are protecting against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States of America.
Sounds like Trumpian language.
Into China's hands. The Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat we face. And I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington. I think that we have to put the interests of Americans first, secure our own border.
But he's the
reality is this is also how we protect.
So he's the archetype.
He's like if you would like. He's like if you created like the Obama. He's like if the Republicans tried to concoct an Obama in the lab, and they came up with Vivek, and so like they threw him up there and.
Oh, I just see him as Trump too. He's the same. He has the same politics as Trump.
Yeah, he's like that's what I'm saying. He's like the Republican Obama. Well, Obama's too. I don't know what you call that.
He's the Trump archetype. So they put him up there as the guy who's gonna like act like Trump.
Yeah,
because Trump was like, I'm too cool for this shit. Like, I don't even know, like, who wouldn't have showed up? Probably that guy from North Dakota, if Trump had gone.
Look,
I did go to Ukraine, and I went to Ukraine because I wanted to see for myself what Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people. And let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. And if every one of them was filled.
So they're not filled.
We've done
It's
both.
all China,
We've been over
China,
the front row of the
China.
arsenal of democracy for years. The Reagan doctrine years ago made it clear. We said, if you're willing to fight the communists on your soil, we'll give you the means to fight them there so our troops don't have to fight them. Vivek, if we do the
There's no kind.
giveaway that you want to give to Putin to give him his land, it's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border. And frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive Putin and the Russians back out into
Fucking
Russia.
crazy people.
Vice President Pence, I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990.
Did I say
The real threat. You talked about the communists, and the real communists that we have to address right now.
Do you not have any idea what Vladimir Putin's aims
You
are?
already spoke. Now I actually have something to say.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere
You've made
of
your point,
influence.
Vice President.
Now, I'm sorry if I insulted him by calling him a communist. He is a dictator and a murderer, and the United States of America needs to stand against authoritarianism.
Mr. Ramaswamy, 30 seconds. Respond. The real threat we face today is communist China, and we.
Of course.
Just
Yeah.
so much baiting, dude. So much baiting.
Pure baiting going on. It's like, who do you think won that?
It's just so this is okay. So that's almost exactly the conversation I had with my dad last night because I came downstairs to make some food. He was like, "Well, you want to know who won?" I was like, "They're all losers. They're all losers." Do you really want to make a winner? Like I just think it's a performance. So I think they're all doing their part for something that's meant to distract eyeballs from looking at stuff like the Ukraine war, for example, or fucking BRICS, for example. You know, like the thing is, do I think that like everybody on stage is aware that they're in the conspiracy, or do they think that they're actually running for president? I don't know, but like I think like Trump with his confidence on Tucker, huh?
There's definitely egos in there.
Like, I mean, do you think like any of them came out and was like, "Oh, I'm a winner," or they like? Do you think they just like?
No. Okay, so like, let me. So I'm asking you, like, purely in terms of performance, who put on the best show in terms of like being
okay?
I would say, in chat, what would you say? Whoever's here,
I would say probably
who do you think was the most strongest? If you were just like a Fox News boomer, what would you?
The whole point of this
by?
Is like you want to be like at top of mind for whoever like so like if everybody's trying to start fights with Vivek, even though like they're debating him,
he's trying to replicate the Jim Bush jab that Trump did back in
yeah.
He's glad.
But
so just give me one answer.
I think Vivek was kind of interesting. I think I just like. But his is like most closely like. Here's the thing: is like, the person who beats their chest the most is probably the one that won.
Yes. That's why I would reluctantly vote. I would say that. Hippie, you think Nikki Haley? Really?
That's what my dad said.
Well, maybe I don't know. She did put on. I would put her second. I think she put on a strong show. The rest of them are really clowns. Well, DeSantis, I mean, he's a little boy, but
crazy.
The shitlibs, and you were right about like. I'm glad that you really brought up that point about how I think more liberals watch this than conservatives. Because
I'm not sure if that's true, but like. It just seems to me that that's why like it's messing with my head, and I'm trying to like figure out like when people say like you remember the fucking meme where like Tate was like we're in the Matrix, and it's like it's not like we're in the Matrix, but they're putting on a performance for us, and we're pretending that it's like we're giving it legitimacy by saying, oh, that guy did one way better than the other, that guy has a chance, when it's like no, they're all fucking actors. Like that's the Matrix part to me. So that's the part that's fucking my head. Like, so did more liberals watch it? I don't know. They've been talking about that shit all day today. You know, so that's the only reason, like anecdotally, I'm like, the only people who seem to be talking about it are the fucking liberals. So,
And,
here we go. Yeah, so there you go. Fucking liberal extraordinaire JoJo.
Yeah. In
wanna
case you were wondering, the worst possible take you could ever have. Probably the worst, I think.
Bryce Christie.
It's always like they love Chris Christie. So the liberals love Chris Christie now. Isn't that crazy?
Well, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, are they going to like
he's not going.
It's gonna be a fucking weird election, guys. It's gonna be a fucked up election. It's gonna be the most fucked up election, guys. You guys thought 2020 was fucked up. Nope, this is gonna be way more fucked up than 2020.
Fucked up in what way? Like a clown?
Oh, just the amount of obvious fraud and the amount of how much they're going to try and tell you. You're gonna see it with your own eyes. Like, see it with your own eyes. See the fraud happening in front of your own eyes, and they're gonna tell you it's not happening, sort of thing. I think we're constantly they're testing the waters with us to see how they can trick our brains. Like, without going too into it, I think like the whole trans thing is like a great example. But like, I firmly believe like it's just going to get more and more obvious. The fraud is going to get more and more obvious. You know, it was like you could kind of see it in 2016 with the rigging, and then in 2020, kind of Trump brought a lot of awareness to the fact that it was like actually happening in multiple states. You know, like there was like legitimate stuff that was like kind of going down as far as both election fraud and voter fraud. You know, you had the ballots.
That's not even without like the manipulation of the media.
Yeah, we're not even talking about media manipulation. So like I'm saying in 2016, we had like the fucking rigging where like Bernie got behind Hillary. And that was kind of like, that was, you know, you could say that was like a more of like a media thing. But then in 2020 kind of opened up my eyes to like, no, we have like an institutional fraud. We have fraud at the institutional level. Like the ballots are actually like generated fraudulently. Like the like when the machines can actually change votes. Like there's actual institutional issues. And 2020 opened.
And no one's going to talk about it. No one's ever going to talk about it.
And so I think 2024 is just going to be like unprecedented amounts
already. Like we're talking about like people. Kyle Kalinske is like he's like in order for me to vote third party, you need I need first past opposed voting, and I need ranked choice voting. That would be the only reason why I would vote third party.
It doesn't even matter. Like
it doesn't fucking matter unless you fucking fix the actual way that we vote, because it's broken.
Well, like I mean, I think what was it? Was it Pasta who was saying it the other day? I think it was Pasta who was saying it maybe on JD, where he's saying like, listen, we should get rid of freaking mail-ins. You know, get rid of them. We should have fucking voter ID. You know, have it done like the same day and like 99.9% accurate. You know, get rid of freaking digital. Like you could get rid of digital machines if you really wanted to. Get rid of like that middleman. You know, because I just think it's going to be really, really, really ugly in 2024. It's going to be really obvious from a mile away. You know, maybe this time next year, we're going to be like, yep, it's happening. It's happening. We're seeing it happen. Like, you know, we're going to see the rigging. And then like after the election, we're going to just hear all the stories, the same stuff that we heard in 2020 about the fucking ballot stuffing and the ballot harvesting and all that shit. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just have no faith whatsoever.
I don't know what we're voting for. But...
You know, here's the thing, is that Biden in 2020 got allegedly 81 million votes, and the reason why I remember that is because it's allegedly the most votes for any single candidate in the history of the United States. Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's not.
So the only way Joe Biden could win in 2024 is essentially getting more than 81, right? Like, because you're sure, like, Trump with 50% of the GOP vote already, like, he's going to have a fucking huge turnout. Like, absolutely. So the only way is to beat him is just going to be, we're going to see numbers that are just going to blow people's fucking minds, and we're going to be told that it's fair and it all makes sense. And remember, over 100 million people in this country don't vote, okay? So don't vote. They stay at home. So when they do the math and they try and tell you that there's more people who voted than there are in the entire country or something crazy like that, telling you guys, it's going to be in our faces. It's going to be really obvious.
Okay. Let's see something. I want to see something like that.
I think it's going to be really, really, really bad shit show, and like only the biggest suckers are going to like believe it. So like after 2024, it's just that's when the war with China is going to happen. And then like what, by 2030 we're all in 15-minute seats. I don't know. It just
that's when like the climate.
It's going to be it's going to be bad. 2024, 2025 is going to be bad.
It's not looking good, folks. It's not looking good right now. But
like we are not going to have a fair election next year, guys. So
yeah, I'm really glad that we're able to have like all this political junk entertainment happening at the simultaneously at the same time, and especially when it's pre-recorded because then we can watch it over again. So during the Republican debates, Trump and Tucker, they released the video.
So funny, dude.
And a lot of the stuff that came out of here was really funny, mostly because Trump is funny, just the way that he talks and the way that he gives nicknames to people. This one was one of my favorites.
Kamala.
Yeah, so this one was one of my favorites.
Were terrible. I mean, they were, I would say, Bushies. I say that with respect to the Bush family, but they were Bushies, and just it doesn't work out.
They're little Bushies, and like I'm
so okay. So I'll let you go.
It's important to recognize that that divide within the party, and where like the Bush family has essentially they've become Democrats now. Like these completely flop to the other side because they're so anti-Trump.
I wish I brought this up in the part of the interview, but that maybe you brought it up. There was a part where he was asked like about like the CIA or something like that, and I was really surprised he didn't say anything about Pompeo and like give him shit a little bit, because like I think Trump knows that he was taken advantage of by Pompeo when he was president. Because he's like, there's like a part in the interview where he's like, yeah, well, there was like, I learned a lot about president and like who was like with me and who wasn't, sort of thing. And like, it's like,
yeah, I'll show that. But the Bushies.
The Bushies.
And that I really different. I didn't know Washington. I say that with respect. They were terrible. I mean, they were, I would say, Bushies. I say that with respect to the Bush family, but they were Bushies, and just it doesn't work out for.
And this was a lot of people's favorites. Again, skipping the boring parts for you because a lot of this was
it's also just freaking getting a softball interview, freaking rubbing everybody's faces.
This is the political junk that we're supposed to.
Well, and it's like that's also like, in a real democracy, would we really let somebody like have an interview
debate night
who's running for president the same night at the same time as the real debates are happening? Like, in a real democracy, would we like let the guy polling at 50% like take away all the light from like the other candidates? Like, I don't know, man. It all just seems like fucking choreographed. It all just fucking seems crazy to me.
It's all set up.
Like a semblance of democracy. It's just a joke. It's funny. It's just, it's sad. It's okay. We'll see. 2024. Man, Restream's fucking chugging along tonight, huh?
No, it's not. It's not that. This one's actually on Twitter now.
It's fucking Twitter. Of course it is.
It's debate night, but we're not in Milwaukee.
Gotta buffer all that.
Barr became so, they loved my policy because of one side. A lot of people say she has to remain for certain reasons.
This is a lot of favorite people's part.
Since the candidate, she has to. I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think that other people would stand for it. She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
she seems pretty senile, too.
She speaks in rhyme. It's weird.
What the fuck? What?
It really was the funniest line in the entire fucking interview.
Speaks in rhyme.
It's weird. But
she speaks in nursery rhyme?
Bad moments. And
in rhyme?
well, the way
Even Tucker's like, Ryan, what the fuck are you talking? This motherfucker's senile too.
She talks, the bus will go here and then the bus will go there because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States view.
Fuck, what?
But that is how she talks. That is how she talks. It's like she's so dumb, and it's because I always think it's because she's so
spot on. But it like
she has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
I think he was laying it up for him.
But
she seems pretty senile too.
She speaks in rhyme. It's weird. It's weird, but she has bad moments. And
in rhyme? What do you?
Well, the way she talks, the bus will go fabulous at the beach. I think he looks. I think he's going to make it. He is physical, or he can't lift his feet, and it looks like he's. This beach. He looks terrible. He's supposed to be getting us out of that horrible, horrible.
Okay, so this is Ukraine war. This was a little bit earlier.
And there's somebody in there that thinks he looks fabulous at the beach. I think he looks horrible at the beach. Plus, the beach doesn't represent what a president's supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be working. You're supposed.
No, not at golf courses. Not
at Mar-a-Lago.
Not at Mar-a-Lago. Not
to be getting us out of that horrible, horrible war that we're very much involved in with Russia and Ukraine. You could do that. You could do that very easily. I believe you could do that I don't believe he could do it because he's just incompetent. But that's a war that should end immediately, not because of one side or the other, because hundreds of thousands of people are being killed. Can you imagine you're in an apartment house and rockets are going into that building and blowing it up and knocking it down? And who
of course
can?
Not.
Why should anything? Why should anybody? Human beings, these are human, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian or whatever they are. It's got to be stopped, and it can be stopped very easily. It would have never started if I were president. It would have never started.
So just back to Biden, I'm interested. So you think he's failing? He obviously is failing. I think it's clear to everybody. But that would make Kamala Harris the candidate?
Well, not really. I mean, I guess they'd have maybe a free-for-all. A lot of people say she has to remain for certain reasons the candidate. She has to. I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think that other people would stand for it.
There's no way anybody would freaking... I don't know, man. People are dumb.
Chris Wallace question.
The which one?
Notice how they didn't talk about Assange at all. So
no, this was just meant. This was
no,
this
this is
meant to be a fuck you at the.
Like, let me suck your dick, Trump, for a little.
Out of politics, I got indicted 4 times. It's horrible when you look and you look at what they're doing. The boxes hoax. I'm covered by the presidential record.
It's the new one. The boxes hoax versus the Russia hoax, and then it's the boxes hoax.
Records Act. I'm allowed to do exactly that. He's not covered, and he's got 25 times the number of boxes, and he's got them stored in Chinatown.
Which who cares about any of this fucking? Who cares?
Yeah, it's. I mean, like because the people who are watching this already know. They already know.
Was anyone caring about the classified document shit? Was anyone caring?
Liberals. Like my parents are all about this shit. They are frothing at the mouth waiting for him to get fucking indicted.
He's got him stored in a
fucking go behind jail. And it's like he's the president. Like he's allowed to have that stuff. It's like declassified the moment he has it, pretty much. Anyway, it's just like it. I don't know. Yeah, we saw. You remember seeing the pictures with the freaking files that were behind freaking Biden's Corvette?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like doing the exact same thing.
Garage underneath his Corvette.
Yep.
At Penn. And by the way, at Penn, he gets millions of dollars. China pays this guy millions of dollars. See, I think he's the most corrupt president we've ever had. And he also has the distinction of being the most incompetent. And I believe both. I mean, he's both incompetent and corrupt.
So
and I actually believe he's compromised. Because China knows so much about him. They know where the money comes from. They know where it is, who paid it, and they probably paid it. Well, they do pay Penn, and he gets $1 million. I think he takes $999,000 because keeps it a little bit under $1 million, like by $1. But he, in many ways, is a Manchurian candidate. We have a Manchurian candidate, and he's afraid to tell Russia to get out of Cuba. He's afraid to tell China to get out of Cuba. He's afraid. China now is building, think of this. China is building military installations in Cuba. The Cuban population of Miami is not too happy because they're never going to be able to go back. And you don't even hear about it. And the worst culprit is the press, the media, because normally, you know, when I first heard that China is building installations in Cuba, and installations means military installations, okay, you know, they said just some communication. They did that on the islands with Japan. They took the island, they started this massive construction, and they told everybody, including the Japanese have to be very careful. They told everybody that this is a housing development. They're going to build a housing development. And I said, how come the runway is 20,000 feet long? You know, private jets need 4,000 feet. They don't need 20,000 feet. The big ones need 20,000 feet. They don't even need 20. And I looked at the runway. I said, that's the largest runway ever built, both in width and length, for housing development. There's nobody that has a plane that big that you would have a runway that's something.
Why is China allowed to conduct imperialism in our hemisphere?
Tucker's going to dip into the China hawking for a little bit. Watch.
Allowed to
that you would have a runway that's
why
that's
is
for
China
testing.
allowed to conduct imperialism in our hemisphere?
Well, yeah, and it's far beyond Cuba. It's all over South America.
Yeah, in the Caribbean.
So we built a thing called the Panama Canal. We lost 35,000 people to the mosquito, you know, malaria.
Yeah.
We lost 35,000 people building. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito. Vicious. They had to build under nets. It was one of the true great wonders of the world. As he said, one of the 9 wonders of the world. No, it was one of the 7. It happened a little while ago, you know. It says 9 wonders of the world. You could make 9 wonders. He would have been better off if he stuck with the 9 and just said, yeah, I think it's 9.
Just Trump like rambling like fucking Biden.
How many military bases?
Why is China allowed to conduct imperialism in our hemisphere?
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep going.
Dude. Yeah.
That's the Chinese imperialism.
It's so ridiculous, dude.
That's the Chinese imperialism. To get it straight. But it was supposed to be China. I'm pretty sure he talks about he's proud of like killing Soleimani.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Cringe. Yeah, I remember that. There was a couple people. There was also Bashrani. Like, I mean, dude, like you ever like think like there's just like these guys that they kill anyway, like Soleimani, like we know that was like bullshit, but like the guys like the like most wanted and shit, like if they were ever like assets to begin with anyway, and they just like had to like keep their hands clean, so they ended up killing him. Like it was a fucking somebody within like the CIA or Fed or something, or like Fed adjacent, and they just killed somebody that was like at one point like working for them anyway. You know, I wonder how often that happens.
Let me get to the part where the CIA part.
Oh, yeah.
It's debate night, but we're not in Milwaukee.
And we caught this. We did some very good work with the CIA. What I started with people, I had very good relationships. Remember the insurance policy? Oh, she's the insurance. I was a into one that it's a very went crazy.
So when you were president, are you confident that you knew everything, say, CIA was doing around the world?
No, I'm not. It's a very interesting group of people. I had very good relationships, I thought, but I was a little surprised when I got out that, you know, things go on. Look, it's...
what were you surprised by?
I was surprised. I think it's some of the people. I was surprised that there was... I had a group of people. Look, we killed many, using the CIA, I have to say this, very bad actors. We were very good at it. You look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, bigger than Osama bin Laden. I mean, Osama bin Laden but al-Baghdadi did ISIS, and he was rebuilding ISIS very strongly.
And that was the CIA that did that.
That was really us that did that.
Yeah.
That was really us that did that. And Soleimani was us that did that, not so much CIA.
So what does he mean by that? So what does he mean by that? Because
did-
I think I listened to that last night and didn't think too much of it, but that's like that. I think he's hitting at something. I think he's saying some like
Probably either like
he's
a private military contractor.
No, he's signaling. I think he's signaling some QAnon shit right there. Like that's the fucking deep state. They didn't fucking do that shit. I did that shit.
You think that's his like his? You think he's either baiting, or do you think he's like trying to like slip something, or he's just slipping it out? Like
I think he's kind of signaling the people that's like the CIA. Like I don't know, man. Like some people are like that's part of like that's part of like the character behind QAnon is that people think that's like Trump is like their savior and like what if he's like taking on some of that character and taking on some of that role and like I mean if I was running for president I'd be like fuck the CIA. Like no, it wasn't me that fucking did, it wasn't the CIA that did shit, this shit. I did that shit. CIA does their own shit. Like, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It was just like hearing it the second time just made me think that he's making like a deliberate distinction between the CIA killing somebody and like us killing somebody. And I just think that's like a weird thing to think about, like why is he saying that? Who is he signaling that to? Like, because Trump supporters like QAnon supporter, like, and people who are like are generally against the deep state, like, it's like, no, like I have nothing to do with the deep state. Like they don't fucking, like, am I looking at it right? Like the CIA and the deep state, that's like the same thing, right? Like, it's just weird hearing it. It's like maybe I'm like reading into it too much, but it just seems like kind of like a weird thing that he's saying. Just like he's making like this weird kind of. He's definitely saying he's like the CIA is kind of like on their own, like does their own thing. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like they did so much shit behind my back all the time, and like the shit he's like Soleimani, he's like, no, I did that shit. That wasn't the CIA. I actually did that shit. So I don't know.
Rebuilding ISIS very strongly.
And that was the CIA that did that.
That was really us intelligence agents saying that was the laptop from hell was Russia disinformation. When I took a look at that, I said, that's a horrible thing. They knew it wasn't. They knew it was not. And by the way, you're talking about cheating on the election? McLaughlin and Fabrizio, great pollsters, they said a thing like that plus other things meant anywhere from 10.
Yeah, that was basically the most you can get out of the
10 to 17%. That's actually so he's saying it could have been swayed by people just seeing the laptop information. See, that's like another information. That's
what I'm saying. That's
you could say that's rigging.
That's just that's like literally an election.
But that was a form of rigging. So was fucking Comey like a week before the election saying that like remember like like we were gonna prosecute her but we didn't or something like that. Like do you remember Comey like a week before he like kind of threw Hillary on the bus? I don't know. It was weird.
Sort of, not really.
But there, I don't know. It's just anyway. So fuck.
You want to get to the Twitter falling apart? I'm never gonna call it.
Do you want to come back to? Do you want to do Maui another night?
Well, I don't know. Up to you. I'm down to keep going.
We can go to Maui. You want to switch? We can do mine. Like, okay, we can do mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine's kind of short little thing in between, but
yeah.
So okay, this is kind of like a way change of pace, but like we've been kind of talking about in some of our earlier stuff about how like there's the CBDs that are coming and kind of Elon's role in some of that and how he's like, and we've talked about Yacarino and like, so these things are starting to come together at a rapid pace. And we're definitely see them happening. And like I've just seen like Whitney Webb, who like if you guys aren't already watching her, like she's been like on her shit. Like
I've got her notifications on, dude. She's a banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, so she's been on her shit, fucking grilling Elon Musk, being like, I told you guys this shit like from a mile away for the last like week and a half. So,
So
you know, I
remember
picked.
when we put out that video, that like short video where we're like, Fed now on Twitter? within
Yeah,
6
yeah.
months?
Well, and I didn't have
How
enough time
close is-
today.
How much closer are we to reality of that?
Well, there's already articles coming out, and I didn't have enough time today to fucking do it. But there's articles coming out as recently as today about how X is introducing a payment system. So literally today they're coming out. But like, and I wanted to find some videos of Elon when they're asked like, what are your plans for this WeChat, this X system? One of the first things he always says is as a payment system, payment processing. He wants to make a bank. Okay, so like Whitney Webb's just like kind of calling these people out, and like I don't know how many people have been like on Twitter and seeing that there's like this whole section of it that's for ad revenue. If you subscribe, if you pay $8 a month, you can participate in the Ponzi scheme. But
that's basically what, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, she's starting to see, you know, I'll just read it. She said, disappointed in the anti-digital ID CBDC types who are subscribing to be part of Twitter's new revenue model for creators, quote unquote. You are helping create the everything app, plus turning the site into a dystopian bank. Literally. Your resistance to this agenda is hollow and you are a sellout. So like I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, we kind of talked a little bit about the X being the everything app, and we've talked a little bit about WeChat, but you know, one of the big things, and people were kind of saying this earlier about when this is kind of different, but it's related in this way, is that Elon Musk wants to get rid of the block button. Okay, whether he does or not is something to find out. But he like
I don't think he can. Can he?
Yeah, so and that's exactly what I'm glad you asked. So as long as he's on the Google Play and Apple Store, I believe what you're getting at is like one of the conditions to be on the Apple Store on the Google Play Store is you have to have a block button on social media apps, right? And if it's an everything app, you know, there's going to be a time where Elon's able to take his X app away from the Google Play and Apple Store and be like, okay, fine, I'll just do it on my own. You know, so that's the concern here, is that he's like, people are thinking that he's going to let fucking Google Play or fucking Apple stop, and when like the whole idea of an everything app is not to be on those markets, it's to be its own market. So, you know, people aren't thinking big enough if they're not seeing that like they're getting co-opted, you know, and this whole the whole ad revenue thing is just to kind of placate to
this
Elon
whole
Musk.
crash with capitalism, I'm trying to imagine how this is going to work out for him. You're going to need to, like, people are going to need an app store or Google Play Store in order to figure out how to download an app.
I was actually thinking about this while we were watching Tucker like a couple seconds ago. It said like in the bottom quarter, like Tucker on X, right? So like, you know, there's probably a company out there like X Entertainment or something, probably some fucking subsidiary out there. So like he's trying to like put his hands in different things, and like, you know, the payment system.
He's working
doing the ad revenue thing, seeing that there's like a proof of concept, because like you do have to link your bank to it. So there's already like I mean, I don't participate in the ad revenue, so I don't know how to do that, but I think it's with Stride. So he has some sort of like bank thing hooked up to it. He doesn't have Fed now yet, but like he's already showing that he's doing the payment processing thing, and that like the thing with the blocking, like that's not people who think like, if you think that he like the stores are going to stop him from blocking, like he'll do his own thing. And part of the WeChat thing, the part of the everything app, is getting away from those stores and really having its own freaking thing. You know, whether they have X and apps and its own ecosystem within it, and then I don't know, man. I just see like I could see person having to go to like X's website and downloading the app, like side loading it onto your phone, and you can't.
That's what I'm imagining. So you're gonna have to work with Apple at some point in order to work that out, like to have it like something a situation.
You can side load on Apple phones.
Yeah, I know, but it's a little bit more difficult. I'm just saying, like you have to. work out some sort of deal with Apple or like these phone companies who are producing the phones to make it so that it's a pre-installed app, sort of like a clock or like a.
Oh, that's a good point. So it'll be interesting to see how hard he pushes to freaking get it on people's phones, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like he can't.
Good point, dude.
Like he can. Like I don't think he can push them too hard because if he does, he eventually has to talk to them about the phone.
But remember, do you remember Yacarino in the video that we showed last time? Like she's like a fucking real, like I get fucking like psycho vibes from her as far as like ambition is concerned. Like she's ready to sell the fuck out of like this, like take advantage of Elon Musk and use him for the freaking, you know, global agenda that we're both freaking pretty familiar with. You know, I think that she's like, as CEO, sees herself as like running the show, and Elon Musk is like beneath her as far as like this is concerned. Like maybe at one point, like a year ago, when Elon Musk said he was serious about free speech, like maybe he actually meant it once upon a time, and then like people actually told him what like free speech actually was, and he was like, oh no, not that free speech, you know. And then you have Yacarino, who's like smart, ambitious, like doing her own thing, pushing the stuff hard, like make a big deal about appealing to advertisers, making a big deal about like lawful but awful, like censoring content. Like this is going to be a really appealing. They're trying to make it really appealing to advertisers to keep it afloat. It'll be really interesting to see. I think you make a really good point about seeing how they get it bundled on phones. That's like really key, because if people don't have to download it, that's like they've already done like
it's already pre-installed. Yeah,
like there's actually a lawsuit going on right now with
I remember the old, like the early smartphones had like they like pre-installed like YouTube and like
so check this out. So remember that there was the lawsuit, you might have been a little bit too young, but there was a lawsuit way back in the day, and it was the antitrust lawsuit with freaking Microsoft, and they lost, and it was because they were bundling freaking Explorer on computers, so they were creating a monopoly. Okay. And so when you told me about that, and there's another one going on right now. I don't know if it's shit, I wish I could pull it up, but there's another thing going on that's just like that right now, with a different app, and it's because they've been pushing it as to being pre-installed. I can't think of it right now. It was on Glenn Greenwald. But
we can dive into this a little bit deeper.
There's like the same thing there. So it's like getting it pre-bundled. Like I think you're onto something there. Keep an eye out for that, because when you start seeing phones that come pre-packaged with X, then you know that he's already done his homework on that. It doesn't have to get away from the store today. You know, it could still be on the Google Play Store a year from now. But if it starts being bundled on phones, if you start seeing that X icon on new phones, like red fucking flag. I think that's a really good observation.
This is why I love Whitney so much. It's, if you think this site will turn out any different, because Musk tweets beams, claims to support free speech, and is going to fight Zucker, you might be naive AF, which is right on the money.
Yeah, she freaking nails it. But it's kind of like at this point, it's becoming so obvious. Kind of like how we're feeling with the pandemic and all the stuff that's coming out, where like she's been on the freaking technocratic shit for freaking years, and is seeing all this stuff come to fruition, and is like, I fucking told you, fucking knuckleheads. Now you're reaping what you sow, and you're seeing what happened, and we need to fucking get the fuck out. So I guess what, I got a couple more there, huh?
But
yeah. So I think it's interesting that she's starting to see, she's been like harping at people, and I think this is going to kind of, I think what's also, maybe it does only apply to Twitter today, but if Twitter /X has a successful model and they're able to do the kind of stuff that they're set out to, and you see the stuff that Greg talks about with seeing it prepackaged on phones. Well, Facebook's going to try and do the same thing, okay? And then what happens? And then we got fucking they're all going to try and do the same thing. So it's just the nature of it. So okay, so I guess this is kind of similar, but all these anti-established influencers complaining on Musk's wannabe WeChat that they aren't getting as much Twitter ad revenue as they think they deserve because their social credit score is so telling about who these people are and who they really drives them. So I think this is really interesting. I was looking for some tweets and they got deleted, but this kind of shows the Ponzi scheme of the ad revenue scheme, because you have to be a blue subscriber to be part of the ad revenue scheme, and the only way that you get money from it is from impressions or views from other subscribers. So it's just this like money pit that's in like it's like its own cycle. So people got huge fucking checks. I think we had an episode about that, and we showed a little bit with the huge fucking checks that people were getting. And now the checks are kind of like starting to get dried up. I thought it would take a little bit longer than this, but it's only taken like freaking month and a half. You don't see the freaking tweets where they're showing all those like bags of money and they're showing huge paychecks. No, that went away real quick. And so, you know, familiar with the way Ponzi schemes work is like they had the freaking foot soldiers who were doing Elon's bidding, who's like patting him on the head. Hey, great job. Here's your 10K, 20K, you know, and then that well dries up. And he's like, okay, well, instead of having 500 million impressions a month, we'll make it so you only need 5 million impressions a month. So now more people are subscribing and being like, hey, I can get in on that money. And now the well is going to dry up a little bit more, and the checks are going to get a little bit lighter. And those people who were doing 500 million impressions aren't getting the 10, 20K checks, but they're getting like 4 or 5K checks. They're still getting like checks that are pretty fat for like an average person, but they're not the fat checks they were getting the first month. So wait until 2 or 3 months from now, he's going to lower it again and be like, get in on the action. And the check's going to dry up a little bit more. It's just really sad to see.
He's already having problems with getting advertisers as it is.
Well, that's the thing that I think Yacarino is really sketchy about, is that she comes on as somebody who doesn't give a fuck about speech at all and wants to appeal to advertisers because she wants to do the kind of things that you're talking about. She wants this on everybody's phone. Yeah, you can play this. This is a good one.
Where
staggeringly they take it down, and that reducing that hateful content from being seen is one of the best examples how X is committed to encouraging healthy behavior online. And today I can confidently sit in front of you and say that 99.
I want to do kind of like a play-by-play because something just occurred to me. So something to keep in mind here, which is like really, I think it's kind of like messes my head a little bit. So it's really interesting to me that she's on. This is CNBC, okay? So the people who watch CNBC are all people who are in finance capital, okay? However, the interesting wrinkle here is that X is not a publicly traded company. X is a private company. So the majority of people who watch this shit, okay, they cannot, that like whatever she's saying, just like it doesn't change.
Speculation.
So who is she talking to right now? Who is she
so that they can evaluate the company.
Yeah, she's talking to fucking advertisers right now. Like she's literally at the TV being like, if you work at fucking Pfizer, like if you work at fucking like Johnson & Johnson, like I will do what you want me to do. Like please, just please. I don't know.
9% of all posted impressions are healthy.
How do you define healthy, though? Is porn healthy? Are conspiracy theories healthy?
You know, it goes back to my point about our success with freedom of speech, not reach. And if it is lawful, but it's awful,
Dude.
It's extraordinarily difficult.
So listen.
For
Here's
you to
another
see
thing.
it.
Here's
But how
another.
many?
This is actually really. It's like putting chills down my back. So this is like back to back. Double speak. This is straight up ingsoc double speak. Okay, like lawful but awful. What was the other one that she said? Freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. Like this is like this is fucking like brain. This is like brainwashing shit.
Yeah. Let's bring back shadow banning. Do that.
Millions of people follow
Did you say anything else more interesting here?
I don't know, but
Kanye West. Lawful but awful.
Like,
and he's allowed back on.
Sketchy. Just fucking sketchy.
You know, Kanye, who hasn't rejoined the platform yet, but is planning to do so, will operate within
is that the video of the good cop,
specific
bad cop one?
policies that we have established, that we're clear on, that everyone who's watching this or listening on Spaces can access themselves. And we have an extraordinary
Whitney
team
Webb actually has a
people.
good take on that. Yeah. So have you guys figured out yet that, so this is, I commented on this, like you just heard my dialogue, but Whitney Webb had something to say on it. What she said. Have you guys figured out yet that it's a big game of good cop, Elon, who loves free speech, and bad cop, Linda, who wants to censor based on vague terms to keep the frogs in the pot just too long enough that people don't notice that they are turning into American WeChat. Scroll down. I think this is the one. Just scroll down. Yeah. Okay, she goes on too much, but it's basically, yeah. So I'm only here anymore to try and help people see the big picture before it's too late. I will never verify this account. Eventually, X will require you to verify if you want to keep using it. Like we've already seen that happening. I have some tweets on that. We'll get to that in a second. You know, what are your red lines when we say enough? Now is the time to figure out. She's like, I can't find the tweet right now, but basically, now's the time to get out of the pot. So there's another one there. You can pull up the PC Mag one, where it says, yeah. So this is like they're at the point where to verify, you're going to need to use a selfie. So that's the start, okay? But eventually, it's going to be for everybody because if you put together the way Yacarino is, you put the way together that you kind of see happening. Like she's gonna be like, "What do you guys? What can I do for you guys, advertisers? Oh, you want me to verify everybody? Oh, thanks. Is that what you want me to do? Okay, I'll get right on that. Then next time people will have to update their app, and they'll have to freaking do a selfie to use the app. Like this is gonna be a freaking like industry wide thing. I'm sure this is gonna happen. And then you're going to see advertisers jump over there because it's going to be safe and neutered and sterilized. And then you're going to kind of see this kind of this shift where like other social media brands like Facebook will probably like follow suit and become more homogenized than they are. Like it's just going to be completely devoid of interesting content. It's going to be a nightmare.
The Breitbart.
Yeah, so this. So I just wanted to touch upon this really quick because there was the tweet with, basically, Twitter's starting to roll out this thing where you can flag content, and they're starting to like build out their moderation team, and it kind of ties back to this, but there's like a bigger story where, you know, the EU recently started the digital, the DSA. I can't think of what it stands for right now. But basically, they want social media platforms to be more responsible for the content that their users put up, and they want to self-censor more. So X is starting to take steps to do that on their own by people in the EU being able to flag content now, and this gets pushed out tomorrow. So as of tomorrow, the EU has standards that, you know, other companies in other countries may or may not uphold to. I know, you know, you have Rumble that refuses to like censor itself for France and is IP locked in France. So it'll be interesting to see if other social media platforms will change their behavior really quick because the EU has recently put this out. What is it called? The Digital Services Act. So basically, it's just a way to control language. but they want social media companies to be responsible for it. And so there's like 19 big ones, basically all the monopolies.
They are. It looks like they're already doing it. I mean,
yeah, Germany has already did it. They fined Fee and Elon, but Elon has like an affinity for just saying "fuck you" to fine. So I'm sure that's like.
But is that why you always get those reports? Like when like some popular
Yeah, every once in a while you get a tweet and you'll get something in your DMs that says like it's been reported to freaking German authorities. Yeah. So Germans have I think that's a good question. That's probably what it is. It's happened to me a couple times where it's like it's been reported in Germany. It's like wow, you guys are pathetic.
They have some of the strictest telecommunications laws in the world. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's coming.
Oh, here's
made a bigger thing about this, but I just want to.
Here's a tweet question.
Okay, yeah, here it is. So won't it be great when this rolls out and your account is tied to your government ID and your biometric data? Anyone telling you that this isn't alarming and telling you to verify and subscribe to them on here for their content is a shill and are addicted to Twitter advertising. So you can see the flag right there. So this was like a few days ago? Yeah. So this comes out, the EU DSA Act goes live August 25th, and that's tomorrow. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I guess this is like also for the Germany thing, but you can see that it's like starting to be put out there. I've always felt like my shit gets de-boosted or whatever, but I'll never be able to prove it. But I think that there's
no, we'll never unless we get like a set. We're just never.
I just think you're going to see this trend of stuff becoming very, very neutered, and like you see with like Yacarino's ambition and like the way that she speaks, like she doesn't give a fuck about speech. Like this platform.
She's a young global leader. What do you mean?
This platform is it's already kind of garbage, but
I already don't like it as much.
I don't think it was any. I don't think when Elon got it, it was any better than freaking when it was in the hands of
really
freaking.
Not better at all, really. Maybe you could say more stuff about COVID.
Yeah, a little bit, but then the thing is you saw people kind of like what Whitney Webb was talking about, where people started to get driven by the ad revenue money, and you started to see it kind of become this. Some people picked up on it right away and saw it was a Ponzi scheme. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, here it goes. And then you're actually seeing it happen. And you're like, this place is becoming really grimy. And that there's that the scales are tipped, that people aren't looking at your shit. I don't know. So it's just kind of a bummer.
We'll see where it goes. I mean,
we're gonna
have to find it. We're gonna have to find a platform to really.
Here, let me see if we can pull up I'll pull up you can pull up the last one, the web on EU protocols. We'll just pull up that one, then we can switch to your last.
But that's what I just had.
Oh, is that the one? Okay, we're good then.
Yeah.
Cool. We're good then. But yeah, so I think this is going to be a trend to, I still think so FedNow. When did we do that video about FedNow?
June,
a couple months ago.
Maybe
yeah. So 3 to 6 months, I think, is what we said. So payments are coming. We'll be talking about it because it's coming.
Man, so let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to start this.
Let's see.
Biden had a pretty decent day in Maui. It seems. He got some nappy time.
He was cogent for a portion of it. Not even.
That relies on family, on ohana, whether by blood or by friendship. But like many others, my son's home burned up.
Now let me ask you, is it appropriate at any moment? Even I understand, you're a little tired, you had a long day, you just want to close your eyes a little bit. It happens to the best of us, right? But how appropriate is it for a president to sit there with his eyes closed while they're talking about the deaths of like thousands of like missing children, families, and so what? So how appropriate is that?
I mean, I saw there's another video of him where he has like a freaking lei, like a huge lei, and it's just the man's inappropriateness is almost comedy. It is comedy because it is so inappropriate. He's nonstop. You can always count on Biden to be a shit human being. Looks so highly focused right there.
You could. He's somewhere. He just likes to have a nappy time. He can.
I mean, he's what, 80 now, or he will be 80 by the time.
He's
like he's 80.
He's in the upper 80s.
Yet another chapter in the beautiful
really
story
not.
of the friendship between our two nations, the United States of America,
Just
and the
ridiculous,
Jewish
man.
and Democratic State of Israel. Both of us who
But
seek to do good.
Let's see what
strong,
a couple
both of us.
the residents think.
Yet another chapter.
To be in charge of, rather than sending out all these funds and whatever else you guys are sending to Ukraine or anywhere. Take care of here first. You know, this
insane.
So what's interesting to me, there's
I don't see why any
sounds to me the people of Lahaina are getting a good lesson in colonization.
Oh, they know it. They know it already.
Like really, no one's helping us. $700, and it's like it seems to me at this point, like it's kind of off topic, but like it seems to me that it's just like again, like a company not doing its job, leading to the destruction of an entire fucking city. You know, and I don't know. It's just sad.
any president wouldn't step up and take care of what's part of their, territory. I think it's a stupid move on his part. Biden, yeah, he's an idiot. Sorry.
When Biden was there, he did give a pretty heartfelt speech about
there he is with the fucking
I don't
leg.
want kitchen fire that he appeared to have in his kitchen.
Want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I,
Dude, come
what it's
on.
like to lose a home.
To lose a home. To lose a home.
Years ago, now
compared to
15
freaking-
years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday, and lightning struck at home on a little lake. It's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit.
When you're you lost, let's say your entire family just died, and this is the guy who it's been.
is this
He's a
this
week
speech
late.
that-
He's a week late, and then he's coming to you, and he's like,
Is he just ad-libbing right now, or is it like did he actually have a speech prepared? Because it just sounds like he's fucking making light of a very freaking tragic situation.
So if you backlog this information, if you look this up, this actually tracks to when Biden had a small kitchen fire that was on for 20 minutes, and his house was fine. So he's lying.
So that's what they had to dig
a
deep
wire
about.
and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette.
My car.
Oh, my Corvette. He loves that fucking Corvette. A small kitchen fire.
And my cat. But all kidding aside, I watched the firefighters, the way they responded. There's an old expression. I grew up right across the street from a fire hall in Claymont, Delaware.
Wait, so
I grew up right across from it. There's an old expression.
There's an old expression.
I grew up right across the street from a fire hall.
Dude.
There's an old expression. I grew up across the street from a fire. I love
It's
that.
just so
It's
it's
a
just
classic
so tone.
expression.
It's just so tone.
That's a
deaf.
great expression. I love that one. I remember that one from kindergarten too.
in Claymont, Delaware. And the expression.
And the expression is
This fucking guy.
pretty just.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for nothing. Thanks for nothing. Fuck you. 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 Hey, wait, fuck you, Joe Biden. Fuck you. Fuck you.
More proof.
So what are they like? What was the point of Biden's trip? That's what I'm trying to understand. It was just there to shake hands and just pretend to be presidential because
it was
like you said, Wakely, he didn't. Did he make any promises to get them aid or whatever they need? I don't know.
No, absolutely.
It just seems like they're really behind on the ball and fucking. These people are. It looks like these people not only are going to lose their homes, but they're going to lose their property. That they're going to be
any of it back. They're not getting any of that. No one's going to help them. Like, look, a lot of this shit is really tragic. A Liana mother tried to save her son and was stopped by first responders who lied to her, claiming that the area had been cleared and no one was there.
That's fucking crazy. I mean, I've heard of
2 days later, when Vargas made it to her devastated home, she discovered Fuentes' lifeless body hugging to his dead dog. The cops stopped her from. It's some like intense, like crazy shit in there. And to feel this righteously angry, I can't imagine what it's like to be a Hawaiian citizen right now. But
dude, there's just so much stuff. Like, I don't think that was. I think you were just kind of focusing on Biden, but the whole stuff with the freaking like nobody was getting any water pressure. Like the firemen couldn't do their job. So when he's talking about how the firemen came, I thought that was a little tone deaf because he should have known that the firemen weren't able to hook up their fire hoses to freaking put out fires. Lahaina got zero water.
They didn't have any. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they didn't have any to begin with. When the firefighters showed up and they didn't, that's why they couldn't do anything. In the beginning, especially. But there, like, there's to be in this situation, it's just an endless stream. Like the only people that we can rely on is through TikTok videos. Like all these like TikToks that were just like happening to like yeah. And they're I'll show you later how they're like trying to crack down on it as much as possible. But here is a very, very much rightfully angry citizen going off.
It is almost impossible to believe that this guy, that this old man, this Walmart greeter, this fake installed president, why the fuck is his wife with him wherever he goes? We didn't hire this person. I didn't hire you, Joe. You're a traitor. I know what you are. I know what Kamala is. I know what the Democratic Party is. And I know that we have a constitutional crisis of epic proportion. But hearing you talk about your house that, had a little fire, you almost lost your cat and your Corvette. There are children that were incinerated to ash. You fucking old man.
Like that kid and his dog.
You vile human being. The only way you feel you're able to communicate and you have some kind of, you're so out of touch with the common man, you don't even understand how to speak to them. The only way you think you can establish commonality with them is to lie. That the same thing happened to you, no matter what the tragedy is. Your son wasn't killed in action, by the way. Your house didn't burn down. Your children weren't burned to death. How dare you get up there and speak this way? Your job is to go there and assuage them in a way that you talk to them about their loss That you can't imagine what it's like. That you can't imagine what it's like never to find the bodies of the poor children that were sent home from schools that died alone.
Yeah, see, that's like
Alone. In fear. Without their parent or a guardian. That the most abhorrent thing happened. You're a disgusting, despicable bastard. You're too old. You need to step down from office. Maybe the cackling hyena behind you, maybe she'll rise to the occasion. She can't even form a coherent sentence. This is an outrage. An outrage. We should just rebuild the goddamn thing the way it was. When you hear the psychopath, the first thing out of the governor's mouth was, we're going to reclaim the land for this or for that. Who the fuck are the people we hire in government? And if there's any truth to the matter that this idiot held back the water, he should be sent down to Guantanamo Bay. Never to be seen again. It's just outrageous how we behave in this country. There's no adults. An event, no matter how tragic, there should be men that are able to rise to the occasion. In 5 seconds, you should know what to do. You should understand the right thing. You almost lost your cat. Go fuck yourself.
Well, so that's like
speaking of conspiracy, like why this is like what Joy I wanted to bring up real quick. Like I'm not like thoroughly convinced that this was caused by climate change. I don't think that I'm not 100% on the DEW direct energy weapon theory yet.
No, I don't think it was.
I am open to planned arson because I know Hawaii definitely has an arson problem. I think I showed that on the last episode.
Yeah, I've heard of arson too.
But watch this. So like there's a lot of stuff coming out of this, and I played a lot of stuff from like the last time I did Politically Homeless. Showed a lot of like these like crazy like videos of like people like saying like the death count is not real. Like a lot of the stuff like they're telling you
it's not real.
Like a lot of this stuff like and a lot of sketchy shit is going on, especially that fucking crooked cop John Pelletier, who was the Las Vegas shooting guy.
The one that was the he was like the special commander at the Vegas shooter.
Yeah.
He was
So Joe sent it to me, like, God bless. Joe sent it to me like right before. So like this I'm just like questioning this.
So how many people thought that this blue umbrella, these Tommy Bahama umbrellas, did you know that's all they are? It's just regular old Tommy Bahama. But these blue umbrellas aren't the most shocking discovery of blue items that weren't burnt in the fire. Yeah, there's one way more obvious, way more suspect, and it makes a lot of sense why this is happening.
So this is the only Wi-Fi truck in all of the Napili Shopping Center.
Damn.
The third biggest hub on the west side, now that Lahaina is gone. The most people here, and this is the Wi-Fi. Why do they not want you to communicate with the rest of the world on the west side of Maui right now?
I'll tell you why, because of people like Captain Chris exposing that why are the supply lines blockaded and he has to go by boat with his local Kanakas and the local Hawaiians, exposing government blocking supply lines. That's just one thing. Maybe it's because of this gentleman who exposed he was on the highway driving and the cops routed him into Front Street and then blocked all the streets behind him. And you know what he had to do? Turn around, because there was no getting out of it. He had to drive around the cops illegally. They didn't want him to. They were trying to route him back into that crap, but this gentleman said in my previous videos, they blocked every street. Boom, boom, boom. Weird. He broke loose, went around them, and they chased him to his house. He didn't think nothing of it. He doesn't realize yet. It hasn't dawned on him yet what they did. But he knows that they corralled the people. He states it. They corralled the people. He just believes because people are good-hearted that this is just orders that's accidental. Does it seem accidental to you people out there? Well, it gets way worse. Watch this one. Look at this. A shirt store. Watch.
This is crazy. This is crazy. I see it. Shirts survived.
Many shirts, all blue, with the price tags on them. Shit.
Survives a fire like that, I wonder. A shirt that says "Sister Revolution."
Does that make sense to you?
No, I just
Hard to believe.
I think
Huh?
like there's
The whole
the
building
whole
goes down. The whole street goes down, and then these shirts
The shirt is fun.
survive somehow.
yeah, it's not hard to make a TikTok video and go take a shitty blue shirt and get
Oh,
it on
yeah,
the
you think
hashtag.
so? Yeah.
Yeah, this seems like fake as hell.
Oh, maybe that's what.
Sorry, like I'm not trying to be like I'm just.
No. You're right. There is a lot of potential for people to fake this. But.
So like I saw the Blue House thing. I saw the directed energy weapon thing. I think is so.
I think that's to discredit a lot.
Are you familiar? Are you familiar with the what's it called? Is it Occam's razor or Hanlon's razor? The one that's the one that makes the net least assumptions is assumed to be the correct one.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what I'm going with right now because I feel like what does this remind me of? What was the other one that had like we just after East Palestine we started seeing a slew of factories going up in flames and stuff like that, and people were trying to come up with conspiracy theories. People were trying to come up with reasons that was like part of like a bigger conspiracy, blah blah blah. That's like a whole other thing. But what I think this is what is happening here at the end of the day is just failure by the electrical company and by the power company.
But there's
like PG.
There's definitely purposeful neglect.
Yeah, this is like PG&E all over again. This is like California.
Well, no, this is Biden. Yeah, this is Biden's Katrina, for sure.
This is Biden's. What was the place in California? The fucking name of the. I can't think of the name of the place, but the huge fires there, and it was because the electrical company. It's because the electrical company like, like I think it started with a sun or something like that. Maybe somebody knows what in the chat what I'm talking about, but like California had huge fires. And it was because of the electrical company, okay? And I think a similar thing happened here, like the water getting shut off. Now, I think that's part of like a bigger thing. I think that the police redirecting traffic, that tells me that's some like ritualistic thing. Like I think that's like, I saw that on Kim the other night. I was like, they're like actively trying to kill people. Like they see the fire going, the cop, okay, sees the fire going and is telling people to go back into the fire. That's fucking psycho, dude.
And the kid and the stories with the
Paradise. Thank you, Jilly Love. That's what it is. Paradise. That's the corollary that I'm making here, is that I think this is like Paradise. Because it's the same sort of thing. It's a fail. Like, trust me, like I'm all about like a good conspiracy, but I just think this is one of those situations where like the electrical company might have started something, and then it kind of got out of hand, and then. The things that don't make sense to me is like the cops turning away traffic and pointing people back towards it. That's some satanic shit. That's some like, because remember all the rich people who didn't fucking get their houses burned down. Oprah Winfrey, there's like a bunch of them, but Oprah Winfrey, Jennifer Aniston, like all these people worth hundreds of millions of dollars, their fucking houses are fine. It's just like I know Lahaina makes up a small section, but like.
They're trying to say
no rich people had any problems with this, and it's really fucking weird to me to see fucking. It's fucking weird for me that the police were turning back traffic because that's a straight like into a fire. Like imagine you looking at a fire and telling people in the middle of the street, "No, go back into the fire." Like you have to be fucking crazy to do some shit like that. You have to be fucking crazy to do some shit like that. So like on that end, I think that it's a situation where. Maybe the right conditions happen because of failures in capitalism, such as like the electrical company like failing to do this job properly, or like the power company failing to do its job properly was like the spark, and like all of a sudden thousands of homes are at risk. And they're like, all right, now's the time to prioritize, here we go. All right, cops, instead of telling people to get away and give them a safe, tell them to go back in that fire. We're fucking killing 1,500 people tonight. You know, like they're fucking crazy. Do you remember the freaking what was that concert where those fucking 13 kids died?
No,
like
I
my idea. I'm sorry, whoever in the chat, I don't care. Like I think that fucking like the oligarchs and the fucking elitists definitely do fucking satanic rituals on us. Like I think they do that shit. So like the idea of a cop looking you dead in the eyes and being like, no, go back into the fire that I see, that's fucking like that's some satanic shit. That's some crazy fucking shit. You have to be subhuman to fucking do something like that.
Yeah, no, so like
I have a really hard time believing that anybody thought that that was like something that they were doing to help people. I'd be like, no, I'm fucking killing a cop before.
The children aspect is really
the children aspect is fucking crazy too. So okay, so there were 90-degree winds. I'm sorry, bro. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, that 90-degree winds. They send the kids home, but they don't make it a kid. Like they don't send the parents home. So there's and the mayor won't. I don't know if you have the video, but the mayor won't talk about the kids missing
about
at all. Okay, yeah, pull that up.
So what's frightening about like the kids stuff looks like I have
dude, that's fucking tragic. And so
one of my good friends from like college, she's like a teacher, and she teaches like younger kids like around like preschool, like she teaches 7th grade, 13-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember in a couple months ago when the Canada wildfires were happening, and like here on the East Coast, we got like a dark sky.
That huge like sky thing in there. Yeah, like I have my own thoughts on that, but yeah, I remember that.
So I was having a conversation with her the other day, and we were talking about that, and she was telling me like her entire class started crying. 13-year-olds started crying because the sky was gray. It smelled like a campfire. Like this is what's happening to like this is what we're doing to our like an entire generation of kids. We're programming them to believe we're programming to like see like
bro, they're about to bring the mask mandates back. They're about to bring the mask mandates back. But it's just like I don't know. As far as like once people told me like cops are getting turning people back into the set, I'm like that's some shit that like no rational normal person would ever do in a million years. And that's like ACAB like times a million. Like I'm just like beside myself that cops would like tell people to go back into the fire. Like who told you to do that? You know, did Oprah tell you to do that? Did Jennifer Aniston tell you to do that? Like
Freemasons.
It's like it's fucking crazy. I just like who's fucking telling people to go back in the fire?
There's a lot of weird shit going on here. There's a lot of weird shit.
Like
the mainstream media has been refusing to press Meyer Bisson on the missing children, and so he's been demonizing, attempting to discredit me since.
Briefing in Lahaina today when a man confronted him about the information being publicly released.
We have no idea if any of them are children. We have no idea.
That's independent journalist Nick Sorter. His social media says he flew in from Louisville 2 days ago. Police asked Sorter to calm down and even physically held him back. He persisted, but it eventually ended peacefully.
Sir, we don't know who you are. You're not identifying yourself as media.
Are you law enforcement? Yeah. We talk to law enforcement. So we're not going to ask that question. How many of these pretend cadavers are?
The Maui department, okay? The press show is over.
Yeah. Right, so he's not going to answer my question.
Thank you.
Yeah, take pictures of me.
There's no need for hacking.
You're with Maui Police, right?
Yeah, he's done with the press conference.
I appreciate your patience, sir.
Yeah.
Get out of my way. Who are you?
With the Maui Police Department.
Okay, and what's my crime? You're literally pushing me.
The press conference.
I don't know much about Nick Sorter but he's a journalist.
He's over.
They're just used to it.
I think he works with. There was that other video where the guy, the stalker that found Nick Sorter.
This conference is over. Get out of the way. Sorry. All right, so sir, 110 cadavers, but we can't identify. We can't identify how many of them are children.
Yeah, looks like a land grab to me, Jimmy.
Dude, get off my throat.
Relax, sir. Relax.
No, I'm not gonna get.
Relax.
No, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm not gonna relax, dude. No, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm trying to ask a question, and we can't get the answer for it. how many of the 110 dead are children? You know who are children.
Dude.
They're cadavers. You have the bodies. You know how many of them are children. How many children are dead?
Step back, please.
Yeah,
How many children are dead, Mayor?
This is fucking.
So you're just not going to tell.
I don't know. I wish
Yes,
I knew
you
the answer.
do.
So okay,
How many
so
children are missing?
Here's the thing. It's like, in light of what took place around 2020, 2021, I'm not trying to like say anything. You guys can kind of fill in the blank. And what we're seeing right here, and whether we think things were deliberate or whether like people took advantage of a situation that got out of control. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. This seems like it was, I can't tell yet whether it was like the electric company fucked up and like the fire started, and then like really evil fucks were like, okay, now's our chance. Kind of like what we saw in 2020, 2021, you know, because I think what happened a few years ago, I think was supposed to happen like closer to 2030. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, was it always like, I'm in the, and then we've heard like, is it going to be like part of like the 15-minute city thing? I don't know. It's fucking crazy. So I'm torn whether like they were just waiting for it to happen, or if they were like, okay, this is okay, it happened, like let's fucking do it. Like,
so the whole whatever method they did to do it doesn't really matter. The extent of whatever the conspiracy is just them coming in, realtors who are coming in to buy the land at a cheap price.
Well, so okay, so
they're doing.
So okay, I'll let you finish because
No, I'm basically like done.
Well, what I was gonna say, because you're right, they're like the day after, realtors were reaching out to people and being like, hey, we'll buy your land. Like, yes, that's like a pretty reasonable.
That's all we need. That's all we really need.
But I think Ryan Christian on T-Lab had like an interesting take. He's like, listen, like we're in like, it's capitalism. Like there's going to be awful human beings no matter what. So like if this was like a
disaster, take advantage of disasters.
Yeah, there's always going to be people who do like shock doctrine. There's always going to be people who are like, oh, now's our chance to buy some, who are going to be shitty, and that's because like people get driven by money. The same thing we see with like the ad revenue with our show with Whitney Webb. People are going to prioritize money before they prioritize their neighbor's well-being. You know, so it's just, people are going to be shitty either way. So like I can understand why it'd be easy to kind of think it was conspiratorial to be like, oh, well, like all the realtors and property developers are hitting people up within 24 hours. It's like, shitty people are going to do shitty things either way. That's just like the rule of capitalism, is like, there's always going to be that motherfucker who's like, oh, there's like a bunch of dead bodies here. I bet we can get a fire sale on it. Like there's going to be that fucking psycho. Like, yeah.
You know. I knew the answer to that. I would be happy to answer that.
You have no estimate as to how many children are missing?
I guess we can end this right now if you guys want. Sorry.
This is one of the biggest questions that the people of Lahaina have, but you don't want to answer.
It always takes one or two to ruin it for everybody. Please, this is our first only opportunity.
Well, we could say that about you. You ruined it for everybody.
You're welcome to say it. You're the media. You can say whatever you want.
You're a disaster.
Oh, Jilly actually brings up a good point.
You've been the worst mayor we could possibly.
So just to touch upon this really quick, because we were talking about that cop, right? So Jilly's comment, with negligence or intentionally, either way, outcome's the same, and no accountability assures repetition. So the guy who was head of resolving the Vegas shooter ends up being the freaking police chief in Maui, right? So like, it was 100% right. Like within, like we're talking about that's fucking happening, you know? I just think it's like, it's a good observation.
Yeah. And he's now he's beginning to get stalked. This is him live on Glenn Beck.
Okay, so you do have that. Yeah, you do have that.
This is crazy. This is
well, it's minds here. I have multiple opinions on it.
Well, yeah. Here we go. Kit in the house. What's up, Kit? How you doing, bud?
people's minds here.
Hey, what's up, Nick? I've been trying to reach you. Been reaching out to you on X. You're supposed to be meeting with people here. What victims have you had?
Okay, yeah. So this is so you're seeing this live right now. People actually tracked me down.
I thought you were
And
staying in a tent. You said you were coming and staying in a tent. You're taking up resources.
I'm not
People
taking
can't
up
hear.
any resources here. People's minds here.
This is why is this happening?
So maybe Nick said that he was going to like freaking because he wanted to do his job, and like I guess some like ordinary followers got freaking pissed off at him because they're like, oh, you can't come because like we need all the help we can get, and like we don't need your ass here, sort of thing. Somebody fucking tracked his ass down. Fucking crazy.
They got him. But why? What's your theory? What were you saying?
As far as which part? Oh, with Nick? That it's just like he could like I think maybe he did say I think at my point he did say like, oh, I'm just gonna camp out or something like that. You know, and that guy's calling him out on his shit because he's staying in a hotel. These guys probably crazy stalker, but at the same time, like he's a journalist, he's doing his job. Like just let him do his job. You know, people are gonna be crazy no matter what. Like Lahaina have you seen Lahaina versus the entire map of Maui? Like Lahaina is just like the western coast. It's just a small piece of the entire island of Maui. You know, the rest of Maui is fine. So if this guy's like losing his shit because of like resources, like Maui still needs like tourism. Maui still needs people visiting. Like that's how they get their money, you know? So like,
did you see this too? So like, a person at FEMA wishing to stay anonymous sent me an email that FEMA sent to their nonprofit, who is headed by Maui, to help with disaster relief. They said to stop posting any images or videos while on the ground, effective immediately. So they do not want you showing this shit. They do not want you putting this on the internet.
So I don't know if you remember, but like less than 10 years ago, something like that, like Alex Jones did a little bit of a dive into like the FEMA camps and stuff, and that's what I'm starting to see happen here. And I think it might lead into like one of the other things that you were showing me earlier. Like how they want people living.
Oh yeah, with the pods. So yeah. So now this is the new plan. We can get into broader on this, but new prefab homes are arriving in Maui. A local group has transported 60 fold-up structures. Look a nice little home over there. Look at that.
Dude, they're like normalizing people living in literal.
This is what's happening. They want you to live in a little closet. A Maui nonprofit working to alleviate the previous events, finding the homeless.
See, and this is the fucking problem. This is the fucking problem with liberalism. Okay, so like I know that sounds like a non sequitur, but like I just gotta say something for a second. So like. Liberals will tell you that building boxes for homeless people is the right way to do it, right? Okay, they'll be like, yo, we're building boxes for people. Shut the fuck up. Meanwhile, there will be like freaking 10 million homes that are owned by fucking rich assholes that sit vacant 3/4 of the year, you know? So like when I see something like this, I'm like, oh, that's liberalism at work. That's fucking bullshit. We should be rejecting like being cordoned off into little fucking storage units like that. Like that's fucking pathetic. Everybody looking at that should fucking spit on that shit and be like, we have more dignity for ourselves than that. That's fucking embarrassing. You know, like imagine being the CEO of that company and being like, I'm getting people homes. It's like, no, you're a fucking asshole. Like that's your idea of a home. Oh, what? It costs you fucking $500 to make that little freaking 200 square foot, 150 square foot box, and you're gonna make fucking $1,000. Like he's fucking subsidized by the government, probably getting fucking 10,000 a unit for something you spent fucking $500 on. Like
flown in by NATO's heavy airlift wing on Sunday.
Dude,
does that not like is that a normal thing for like companies and like
dude, it just seems like it just seems like it's just fucking shock doctrine, dude. It's fucking shock doctrine. So like what you're seeing here is a company that's like maybe a month ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago, they were doing the homeless thing. You know, maybe they were trying to like figure out how to do affordable housing, and they came up with the storage units, and then the fire happened. And they're like, we're going to make you guys fucking rich, you know? And I don't know, like that's so sad, man. That's so sad. We need to fucking have more dignity and reject living in fucking boxes.
Family Life Center's plan to create a village of small folding houses marks what Governor Josh Green has described as a new era following the Maui wildfires. I'm sorry to laugh, but this is terrible. Maui's recovery effort, Green said, will focus on the prefabricated modular housing, which have long been effectively banned from the islands.
It's fucking double speak.
It is the Pacific Resource Partnership, who represents about 6,000 carpenters and 240 general contractors, has already bought into the idea that using modular homes, the boxes, they love it. They said they
this is
idea of forcing people into boxes from the mainland if they can't find a place to. If they don't want, they're going to put up little. Instead of homeless tents,
they're fucking grifting off of a fucking satanic ritual that killed over 1,000 people.
It's really
this is really fucking depraved, guys. This is like really like I'm having a hard time with this one. It's just like really we're gonna put people in storage units and then it's not gonna, it might be sold as like a temporary thing, but we know that's not like a temporary thing. We know. Like, there's no Lahaina coming back. This is fucking terrifying. This is fucking this dystopia we live in. Oh my god. Reminds me of the freaking photos we were seeing when the quarantine places in fucking China. All the little storage units people had to be forced into. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have like a whole argument that like a tiny home being better than nothing for sure. Like, I totally get that, Jilly, but like I think that's like, I think that's kind of like, without getting a whole thing, a bit like of a disingenuous argument because there is so much housing already available. If you look at like Airbnb listings or you look at just houses that sit open all the time, I think like the answer to solving homelessness is not building shitty homes. It's giving homes to homeless people.
Well, that's why I wanted to extrapolate on this. Is like this is really what we're seeing is like a future sort of like echo of what capitalism's solution to the housing crisis is instead of like since renting prices are going up, most people can't afford their one paycheck.
Dude, so on that topic, yeah, like I was just gonna.
Half of working private renters own one paycheck away from losing their home.
My god!
This is 3 days ago. So once the rent prices rise to a certain amount where it's unaffordable for the like quote unquote like peasant, now renting is going to become like sort of like a
So this is the first year in our entire lives where renting is more affordable than housing.
Yeah,
and entire lives.
And they are normalizing this shit.
Anecdotally, I'm glad you brought this up because it goes perfectly with like something that I'm experiencing with like friends of mine and people close, like people I know, are looking at campers as their primary residence because they're priced out of the housing market. Okay, so people looking into getting something they can put behind their car to live in because it's cheaper than renting. We were looking at a freaking double wide yesterday. Okay, that was $67,000. Okay, but at fucking 8% interest, it would have been like $180,000 or something like that, $170,000 for a double wide. So it's just, and you don't even own the lot with something like that. So like the market is so screwed up right now. And I don't know how this is gonna work out. But this seems like something that comes across as like they're gonna pitch it as a temporary solution, and it's not gonna end up being a temporary solution.
No, this is the new plan. This is the new welcome to the new Maui. It's box homes.
It's box homes.
Box home village. They said it out loud. They said they want to build.
The modular thing, yeah. They
want modular homes for the residents. So they said family
crazy.
I actually, you could look up like portable homes online. They exist. You can get some on Home Depot, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you can get freaking like tough sheds for like less than 10K.
They already exist. Like the you can get like a 1-bedroom cabinet for $3,000. A traditional tiny home for $875. You probably have to like build it. You have to build it and shit. But still, like, the pod life is coming. Well, you guys thought COVID was bad. Welcome to the pod life.
I think that like freaking kind of like living in mobile homes and like it's just people are priced out of fucking property at this point.
Just don't be surprised when you see a future that's very similar.
I mean, this is so okay. So are they going to charge rent for these units? Like how is it going to work? They're just giving them to them for now. Like what's
free?
So
for now. So
where's the like feudal component? Because if they're just giving them to them. So if the government pays for it, great. The government doesn't give us anything for free. They like what are they? It's not socially housing. There's a tit for tat. Like people are gonna have to fucking give up their labor in some way, shape, or form to be able to live in those boxes. Something's got to give. They're not just giving them people. It'll be See, it says temporary housing on that on Lafredo.
Yeah, he says it's entirely free for now.
Yeah.
So the plan is to make a neighborhood of 150 pods. So pod village.
150 pods. And how many people they expect to live in each pod?
Oh, probably like a whole family.
No, you can't. Each one of those is less than fucking 200 square feet. You can't get more than fucking one.
No, I know. But they're gonna make you squeeze a family in there. They'll make you find a way.
So what? Like, I wonder what plans. I wonder what evil plans they have for fucking Lahaina that they need to put everybody into fucking sheds. That's so fucking disappointing. It's so dehumanizing. Hey man, we're gonna put you in the same thing that we put on freaking rigs that we send freaking halfway across the world through like freaking the Panama Canal and put cars in them and clothing in them. We're gonna put you in it. You're gonna live in it.
Forward to like the Matrix part where we're like, dude, like instead of like just living in a tiny uncomfortable pod, we're just like our entire consciousness is just like we're our entire.
Oh my god, it's like when we were talking about the Apple Vision Pro, dude. Apple Vision Pro is going to be less expensive than the fucking $1 million home, isn't it? So you can live in your fucking free storage shed and you can pay fucking $4,000 for your Apple Vision Pro. And then you can fucking download the app that turns it into a freaking mansion.
Yeah.
And then they've commoditized fucking.
There's your Soma. That's your Soma right there.
There's your Soma.
You live in the metaverse.
That's the basic premise of Ready Player Run right there.
No, they nailed it. They got the premise down already. They instead of like the high tech future where it's like your body's like connected to like wires with like some kind of weird like consciousness transfer to the computer. It just you in a tiny pod. You're gonna be living in a tiny pod. You'll take the glasses off to eat sometimes, but for the majority of your life,
you drink through a straw. Just
you're
just hooked up to an IV. Nah, you'll just be hooked up to an IV.
The majority of your life will be in the metaverse. You will live in the metaverse. You'll live in a pod, and you'll be happy. So that's what I had for tonight, folks, and that's what we got.
It's fucking terrifying.
It's terrifying shit going on all around. And we appreciate it.
I'm kind of curious to see what goes on with the fire as more stuff comes out because things are not making sense. And like nobody knows about any of that shit. People don't know what's going on in Hawaii at all.
No, because no one's saying the truth.
Or just ignoring it altogether. I don't think it's been on MSNBC or CNN or anything really at all. But
yeah, so we appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Warm welcome from the Chris 420 who's
appreciate you.
Hiatus. We always appreciate our fans, our members here. You can become a YouTube member or Patreon. We have Jax Page, Gamer, Black Freud, Nicole Vance, Comrade Kitty, Velvet Trance, all lovely members. We have a great community going on over here. We're growing. Whatever do, like, share, because we're suppressing the algorithm. Definitely shadow ban. Definitely shadow ban.
And then we'll be back on Monday, right? Same time.
What's that? Thursday. So Thursday. I just need to do Thursday for the rest of August, which I don't know if we have an extra Thursday left. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. But
yeah, we'll figure. So
Thursday's fine. Looks like you're about to pass out, so maybe we'll do it a little bit earlier. But
yeah. No, it's getting late over here. Like it's past midnight already. But tomorrow I'm gonna premiere the. So I did an interview with John Potash about the 2-pack.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's amazing. It was a really exciting to get to talk to him, and also also getting to call out Greg Kading on record. But I'll premiere it tomorrow. I'll set up.
It's freaking sick. I look forward to it.
Yeah. So that me and Indy are gonna go see Jimmy Dore in New York tomorrow. We have
sick.
Yeah, we have VIP.
You're running a Scout Ritter again.
We probably will run. I'll probably run the Scout Ritter again. Probably. At some point. And I'll take a picture just to piss off YepX. I don't want to fucking. But yeah, we'll take some pictures. It's gonna be fun. We'll hang out. I'll be with Jose too. So we all have VIP tickets. It's crazy. So we're gonna have
that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, man. We'll have fun.
Yeah. All right, but yep, like the stream, do what you can. We appreciate all the love and the support here. We ran up on 3 hours here. Got a good fucking stream run. So have a good night, folks. Have a good Thursday.
Peace out, everybody.